The public hearing for the Committee on Economic Affairs and jointly with Trade, Commerce, and Entrepreneurship. Yes, as I've stated, we've had what is arguably the earliest, longest, and perhaps the most expensive lockdown in the world here in the Philippines. And there have been many, many effects to this. Among them is the latest Moody report indicating that a sluggish vaccination program, a decentralized healthcare system is delaying the Philippines' economic comeback with the certainty that it will be Asia's laggard. This very depressing news is, of course, obviated by many of you that we've invited today, who have shown us the way forward during and perhaps post-COVID. You have found ways to survive and perhaps really, truly build back better. So I'd like to ask my committee secretary to call on our resource persons who have kindly joined us, and I thank you for your generosity. This is not a public hearing in the manner that we're used to watching on television and mass media. I'm not here to be inquisitorial, but more importantly, to brainstorm with you in the ways that we in government can be of help. If you could tell us the situation in your industry, the government interventions that have been of help, and finally, other recommendations that we in the government, whether in the legislature by way of new laws or amendments, or those in the executive by way of implementation, can actually push our way out of the economic doldrums that we confront today. So thank you very much. I call on my committee secretary to recognize all our guests this morning, Beth Agas.
Good morning, Senator. For today's public hearing on SRN 682, we have the following guests from Republic Cement, Mr. Cirilo M. Pestano, the Executive Director of the Cement Manufacturers Association of the Philippines. For the GCash, we have Attorney Angeline Lim. For Paymaya Philippines Incorporated.
Just wait lang, no? Si Mr. Pestaño, it wasn't you who represented the cement group the last time?
Good morning, Madam Chair. No, I was not the one. And I'm actually not with Republic Cement. I am with the association, the Cement Manufacturers Association of the Philippines. So I used to work with cement companies, but currently I am full-time with the association, the Cement Association, ma'am.
I see. There's some level of confusion, Beth. I think we were interested in calling on the Republic Cement because of their green initiatives. We've actually
Yes,
heard the cement industry before.
Senator, I invited actually Mr. Rainier Dizon, the one representing Republic Cement last time. He mentioned about waste management,
Yes.
but they responded that it is Mr. Cirilo Pestaño who will be talking about the waste management because he has been doing it for some time now already.
Okay, Mr. Pestaño, will you be ready to do that for us? To share with us some of your experience in waste management?
Yes, Senator.
Okay, we'll call on you later, but in the meantime, may I recognize the presence of my tandem all the time, Senator Cynthia Villar. Okay, carry on, Beth.
Senator, with us is from the Paymaya Philippines Incorporated, Attorney Basilio Bisaya Jr., their General Counsel.
Please raise your hand when you're called, Paymaya.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the committee.
Pakitaas lang ng kamay, hindi ko kayo makita eh. May video ka ba? Ayun. Okay.
I'm here, ma'am. Good morning, everyone.
Thank you very much. And I'd like to recognize also our good friend and ally, Senator Francis Tolentino, who has graced us with his presence this morning. Okay, Attorney Visaya.
With us
Yes?
also from the Swilig Family Foundation, Miss Janet A. Hakosalem, their Chief Business Officer. From SM Supermalls, we have Mr. Gian Carlo Borromeo. From the Philippine Retailers Association, we have Miss Maya Sangil and
Beth, ang nakasulat dito si Paul Santos sa retailers.
yes, Senator, but ang nag-login po ay si Miss Maya Sangil.
Can you raise your hand, please, Maya Sangil? Parang wala
From the distillers.
Teka, Beth.
Senator, nandiyan na rin po si Mr.
Si-
Paul Santos, their chairman.
Mr. Paul Santos po.
Opo, nandito na rin po. Tapos,
Yes,
we have,
Beth, can they just please identify themselves? Si Maya Sangil. Naka-on na ba yung video ninyo para lang mamukhaan namin kayo?
Mayan.
Wala.
Nag-out na siya.
Nag-out. Senator, nag-out na po siya.
Sino?
Kasi nandyan na po si Mr. Paul Santos.
Okay, saan?
Yan.
Ayan. Pakitaas lang ng kamay, Mr. Paul Santos ng Philippine Retailers. Thank you very much. Yes. Thank you very much for joining us, Mr. Chairman. You were strongly recommended by Stephen Tan of SM. Yes, please.
Chairman.
From the Distilleria Limpuaco and Company, we have Miss Oliva Limpeao, their president.
Okay, that's great. Welcome again, Olive. Suking-suki ng Senate yan.
Apo.
Thank you. Thank you, Senator Aimee.
Salamat.
From the Restaurant Owners of the Philippines, we have Mr. Eric Teng, their president.
Thank you. Thank you for joining us. You were one of the earliest. So clearly, maraming problema ang industriya na sa restaurant. So, thank you.
Senator, we have also Senator Binay who logged in already.
Oh, okay. Thanks. Great. Senator Nancy Binay is with us this morning.
That's all, Senator. Yan lang po.
Okay, maraming salamat po. And okay, so this morning we're looking for good news because in the midst of this pandemic and the economic havoc that it has wrought, the truth is that there are great new innovations. There are many changes that we have seen that improve life in general and the lockdowns in particular. So sana madagdagan ang lahi ninyo pagkat napakalungkot naman ang sinasabi ng iba't ibang ahensya ng ahensyang pinansyal, all the rating agencies saying that the Philippines will be the laggard in Asia. Siguro naman with more of you, we can do something about that. So firstly, we have three sets here, more or less, of the new normal that we're looking forward to. Unang-una, those who have green initiatives, sustainable and resilient changes. These are led by the best represented by the waste management efforts in Republic Cement by Mr. Pestaño, and also by the LEED certified building of Swelling Pharma. So we'd like to ask them first to talk about that. Thereafter, there are the smart initiatives, automated work, digitized marketing, online platforms, and e-commerce in its many guises. And apparently, PayMaya is here. There are many others who've automated and began to sell online. And finally, we also have the human-centered new normal. That is to say, the wellness, well-being, and general health of not only the employees of the corporation, but the community in which they operate, as well as the poverty and hunger alleviation efforts that many corporations have taken up on their own. So mauna muna si Mr. Pestaño, if you could tell us a little bit about the waste management, given that cement has always had this nasty reputation for fouling up the environment, and yet you've stood that accusation on its head. So Mr. Pestaño, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good morning, Senator Villar, Senator Binay, and to the other distinguished members of the Senate who are present. I will talk about the principles of waste management solutions in the context of the Philippine cement industry. Firstly, let me mention, which you might be already familiar with, the Cement Manufacturers Association of the Philippines is the industry association of integrated cement manufacturers in the country. It has 4 member companies that operate in various regions in the Philippines and which supply similarly cement nationwide. Now, despite the passage of the Ecological Solid Waste Management Act, which is Republic Act number 9003, solid waste management remains a major challenge in the country due to improper waste disposal, inefficient waste collection, and the lack of disposal facilities. The waste generated per day in the Philippines is estimated at about per year, is estimated at about 15 million tons of trash. This has steadily increased from about 30,000 tons in 2012 to over about 40,000 currently or in 2020. The rise in the country's waste generation is due to the rapid population growth and developments in urban and rural areas. Metro Manila recorded an average of about 9,000 tons of waste per day. Of this, only 85% of the solid waste in Metro Manila is collected and brought to landfills or dump sites, while the remaining 15% of uncollected waste mostly end up in waterways and bodies of water. Since the early 2000s, the Philippine domestic cement manufacturing industry has provided an alternative waste management solution through the use of various qualified wastes as alternative fuel for its cement production. This is done through a method called cement kiln co-processing. The involvement of the Philippine cement industry in providing waste management solutions is governed by the Department of Environment and Natural Resources Department Administrative Order 2010-06, or what is called as the Guidelines on the Alternative Use of Fuels and Raw Materials in Cement Kilns. DAO 2010-06 set the requirements, standards, and procedures on co-processing of alternative fuels and alternative raw materials for clinker and cement production. Co-processing is the term used to describe introducing alternative fuels and raw materials into a standard cement production process rather than using conventional fuels and raw materials. The benefits of co-processing are as follows. First, the responsible use of waste as an alternative fuel to heat cement kilns lowers the consumption of fossil fuels, helping to reduce the environmental footprint of cement production. Second, the reduction of CO2 emissions per ton of cement produced by replacing clinker with materials such as blast furnace slag, fly ash, and waste gypsum, which are called alternative raw materials. Third, provides efficient alternative solution to the problems in the disposal of municipal solid waste and industrial waste. Fourth, the avoidance of less favorable waste treatment solutions such as landfilling, which creates methane and the risk of water pollution. And fifth, when partnered with local government units, the disposal of municipal solid waste, the distances of long-haul waste transport are decreased due to the fact that the extensive cement kiln network can be utilized for managing locally generated waste streams. To realize the needed efficient management of waste through co-processing, essentially waste must be processed first to be acceptable for kiln co-processing. Also, for municipal solid waste, the materials recovery facility of the local government units must sort wastes that can be acceptable for co-processing. And the cement plants must fix comprehensive supply contracts with waste generators, such as the local government units and some manufacturing firms, indicating a clear specification for the waste-derived alternative fuel or raw material they can use. The Philippine cement industry contributes to an economical waste management network. The principles of reduce, reuse, and recycle, or what is termed as 3 Rs, are the accepted principle in most management waste management systems. Where waste materials cannot be managed technically or economically by one of the 3 Rs, the cement industry therefore provides the most resource efficient alternative because 100% of the energy and material is recovered by co-processing waste in the cement manufacturing process. So what is co-processing? Co-processing is the reuse or recovery of thermal and mineral properties of qualified waste materials. Through co-processing and the use of waste, such as plastic or rice husk, as alternative fuels, cement manufacturers are able to manufacture cement with reduced dependence on fossil fuels such as coal. Co-processing also provides a viable waste management option in a single combined operation. The cement kilns, which are optimally operating at about 1,500 degrees centigrade, co-processing completely destroys the qualified waste turned fuel. This means that any waste byproduct, such as ash, are fully integrated into the microstructures of the clinker, which is the key ingredient of cement. Upon exiting the kiln, the main cement production chamber, upon exiting the kiln, which is the main cement production chamber, the clinker is quenched and quickly cooled, ensuring complete stability without any other ash residues. Any
Mr.
noxious
Pestaño?
gases? Yes, ma'am.
Yes, Mr. Pestaño. You mentioned that this began in 2010.
No, ma'am. This began in late 1900s, ma'am.
No, I need the co-processing that you have undertaken for waste disposal. Kailan kayo nagsimula? Kasi you
Ma'am,
refer to the DENR which says 2010. Tama ba yun?
yes, ma'am. Yung iba pong mga magkakaiba po ang start ng production o ang
Ayan po.
Okay na.
ng mga
Siguro yung hinahanap namin kung ano na iba o nadagdag nung panahon ng COVID or nakatulong ba itong effort ninyo sa co-processing para maging halimbawa para sa ibang kumpanya.
ma'am tuloy-tuloy
Miss
lang po,
Chairman.
no?
Miss
Yes,
Chairman.
Yes, Senator Villar. I think Mr. Pestaño is replying first. Let's
Yeah, and then I'll make a comment on that.
Yes, please, because after all, Senator Villar is our chairman for environment, and she can clearly weigh in on this. Please, Mr. Pestaño, may sinasabi kayo na nag-umpisa ito noon pa, pero nadadagdagan every time. Tama po ba yun?
Tama po yun because dalawa po yung determinant. One is the supply of the waste. So, hindi po, for example po sa local government units, hindi naman po lahat ng mga local government units are, well, let me call it supplying waste materials sa mga cement manufacturing companies, no? Number two, yung pong capabilities ng mga cement manufacturing plants are also improving. So in both respects, the effectivity or the efficiency of cement co-processing of waste is improving and continuing to develop.
Thank you very much. We recognize Senator Villar for her query.
Yeah. I just want to manifest that we are going to pass on the Committee on Environment and Natural Resources a legislation on EPR, that's extended producer responsibility, that will require all those companies producing plastic waste will have to recycle their plastic waste according to their production. And one of the ones that presented to me is Nestle. And I think they are in partnership with Cemex, that all the because they have to recycle all their plastic waste. So what they do is they spend for the transfer of plastic waste from the local government unit to the cement plant, so that all their plastic waste will be recycled by the cement plant, will be used as in this co-processing to produce energy for the cement plants, the energy use of the cement plant. So I would like to comment on our cement association that you can have big partners for this, because this will be required by law, and they're starting doing it now, so that they will not be surprised. They will be the biggest producer of plastic in the Philippines are Nestle, P&G, Copico, Universal Ropina. And with regards to, there are two kinds of plastic, the soft plastic and the hard plastic. And the hard plastic will be processed by Coca-Cola. They're building a recycling plant for the PET bottles, so that they can recycle the PET bottles into PET bottles again. So I think the worry of Coca-Cola is they will not have enough PET bottles to recycle to justify their plant, because I think they're building a big plant, and I think there is an alternative that we send our PET bottles to China, because it is being used to produce garments in China. So there is competition. And I want to inform the cement factories that they have big partners now, because this will be legislated. And so they have to prove that their plastic, what do you use, the soft plastic or the hard plastic? The cement plants.
Yeah, Madam Senator, we use normally the hard plastic.
The hard.
But
The, The PET
Yes
bottles?
po.
You don't use the soft plastic? Mas marami yung soft plastic eh.
Yes, ma'am. The soft plastic po are normally the ones that are being supplied by the local government units. So they are given to us in shredded form, but we also use the soft plastics din po.
So you can use the soft plastic also?
Yes, Senator.
That's good because I think there is a solution for the hard plastic, but the soft plastic is the problem. We have a lot of them because we have been according to study of the University of Georgia, we are the third largest producer of soft plastic into the ocean, next to China and Indonesia. So that is one of our big problems. So that's why we're passing this extended producer's responsibility that the companies which produce the plastic will have to be responsible for recycling them so that they will not go into the ocean. That's so I want that comment. So I want to comment on that so that our cement factory would know that they will have big partners here because it will be legislated that this big producer of plastic will have to recycle their plastic, and you are one of the models that can do that, the cement factory. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That's really good news from Senator Villar. Mr. Pestaño, if Senator Tolentino will allow, how many of the LGUs have already embarked on partnerships with you?
Ma'am, the numbers, the association is not private too, no? But we can provide you because we need to ask our individual members.
I see. If you can let us know, because perhaps this is a program that a lot of LGUs are not entirely aware of, and all of them are in violation of solid waste laws. So they'd be very, very grateful for a solution in co-processing with you. Senator Tolentino, the chairman for local government, will surely have something to add.
Yes, ma'am. Just a minor contribution. When I was MMDA chairman, Madam Chair, I distinctly remember that I was part of the inauguration of a facility in Pasig of a cement factory, also using this procedure. I don't know if this is the same plant. Otherwise, you're correct that there is nothing new, especially during these pandemic days when innovation is still needed. If the good gentleman can answer, is this the same plant we inaugurated years ago? Siguro walang pagbabago. What we're looking for, if I'm not mistaken, Madam Chair, is how to dispose of pandemic materials as part of what they're doing right now to ensure that we lessen the waste. I used to be the basurero of Metro Manila. I handle the waste for Metro Manila, so I have all the data. Siguro what we're looking at is, Madam Chair, for instance, how to dispose of all of this. If the cement manufacturers can have a new way of disposing this and making this part of the material that can be used to be transformed into asphalt or concrete materials, so be it. So siguro that's what the committee is trying to look for. Just an interjection, Madam Chairwoman.
Yes, thank you very much. And I think we have the restaurant association here as well, and maybe they can bolt in with Mr. Pestaño. Yes, please go ahead, Mr. Pestaño.
Thank you, Senator Villar. That is very good news, really. And I'm sure we will be ready and be able to form that alliances, that partnerships with the FMCG industry. Thank you, Senator Tolentino, for your comments. There's no more cement plant in Pasig. There used to be one, but that has been demolished. In Rizal, there are two cement plants, one in Antipolo and the one in Teresa. And to my understanding, both of these plants in Antipolo and Teresa have co-processing facilities. Now, to your point regarding discarded face mask or waste materials brought about by the pandemic, I think it is worthy to note that we are now working with the Environment and Management Bureau of the ENR. They are in the process of revising DAO 2010-06 to include certain forms of medical waste. Because in the last discussion, and this was last year, with DENR, it was of course noted that there has been an increase of, for example, face mask waste, which needs to be properly disposed of. And we were identified by the EMB as a suitable partner in disposing of this type of medical waste. So we are just awaiting for the revision on the DAO, on the Department Administrative Order, which will allow the cement manufacturing companies or facilities to handle certain types of medical waste, Madam Chair.
Senator Tolentino, any further questions?
Nothing further, Madam Chair. Ngayon ko lang nalaman, wala na pala yung napuntahan ko sa Pasig before. Ibig
Oo
sabihin,
nga.
matagal na pala yung antiquated, Jurassic.
Sabay-sabay tayo, totoo. Mr. Pestana, tatanungin ko lang, yung thermal heating, hindi ba incineration to? Hindi ba kayo nagkaka-trouble sa Clean Air Act?
Ma'am, magkaiba po sa incineration, no? Because with incineration, there is a higher chance of gases, noxious gases we call it, being released into the atmosphere. Versus in co-processing, all of these are contained within the cement kiln, no? Also, in incineration, there is a remaining about 30% that is turned into ash. This is a waste byproduct or a byproduct in incineration. Now, this ash, this 30% ash, still needs to be disposed of, and most of the time, these are disposed of in landfills. Some incineration methods are actually purely for disposal without any energy or material recovery aspect, which again, compared to co-processing is not the case, because in co-processing, we recover heat, which is used as an alternative to the use of coal. Now, yung comparison po is not an apple-to-apple comparison with incineration, because in co-processing, there is no residue, there is no fly ash, there is no noxious gases that are exited or exhausted to the atmosphere, ma'am.
I see. Thank you very much. And being that the chairwoman of the environment is here, in a previous hearing, I will have to share with Senator Villar the complaints of certain members of the real estate companies regarding the requirement for the 10,000 trees to be planted for every permit. Marami po nagre-reklamo, so perhaps we can get your assistance to get guidelines from the DENR, kasi maraming natataranta, hindi lang yung real estate, pero yung transport pala, nakalimutan ko, nagkamali ako. It's the transport companies, every permit requires 10,000 trees. Medyo hindi na kinakaya ng 10,000 trees at wala naman daw silang lugar na gano'n.
Wala na naman. I just want, would you please ask them to write to me so it will be formalized, their complaint?
Yes, that's good.
Yeah, so that it can be a basis for talking to the DNR. What are they doing?
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much. It's
Tell
actually
them to write
actually an
formally.
order pala from DOTR, hindi pala DNR. Yung DOTR, in the desire of Secretary Tugade to encourage tree planting, I think this imposition of 10,000 trees to be planted per permit. So medyo nabibigatan naman yung ating mga
Yeah.
jeep.
Tell
Okay.
them to write to me and I will hindi
Thank you so
naman
much.
pwede na then I will talk to Secretary Tugade. So yung sa mga jeepney drivers, it's Tugade. And the
Opo,
other one,
opo.
subdivision developer, sino doon? Hindi ko alam yun.
I'm not certain. I will check if that was part of the testimony of David Lichu.
Sige. Tanungin mo kung sino nag-order nun so we will know whom to talk to. Oo.
Thank you very much. I'll
Kasi kami subdivision developer, hindi namin alam yon except that we really plant trees. But hindi ko alam na order yon, hindi yon on our part, voluntary. Diba?
I see. Oo nga Okay kung voluntary at saka yung transport kasi wala naman daw silang kakayahan o lupa para
Oo naman, mahihirap naman yon.
kaya nga medyo mabigat. Opo. Committee
Sige.
Secretary Mr. Pestaño, if Senator Binay and the other senators have no further queries, we thank you for your insight, your experience, and for leading the way forward.
You're welcome, Madam Chair, and thank you rin po for the opportunity.
Maraming salamat and hopefully with Senator Villar with us and Senator Tolentino we'll be able to incentivize or somehow encourage the companies that are really looking towards sustainable and resilient development. Sana ma-incentivize namin by law. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay, Committee Secretary, sinong tatawagan natin?
Senator, nandito na po yung sa GCash, si Attorney Seth Macalino Season.
Okay, pero nauna yata si Attorney Bisaya ng Paymaya. Unahin muna natin sila.
Yes po, Senator.
Okay, para we call on Attorney Basilio Bisaya to tell us a little bit about Paymaya in the time of COVID. Kasi biglang putok itong mga payment platforms at yung mga hindi gumagamit dati ganadong-ganado ng matuto at mag-Paymaya at mag-GCash. Please proceed.
Salamat mo, Madam Chairman and members of the committee. Good morning also to Senator Tolentino, Senator Binay, and Senator Villar. I am happy to share with you the success story of Paymaya during this pandemic. So Paymaya and the digital payments industry have been able to thrive during the pandemic because the demand for cashless accelerated rapidly. The COVID-19 pandemic and the resulting quarantine measures hastened the adoption of digital payments. Account registration and Paymaya and usage have grown exponentially since the start of the pandemic due to limited mobility and safety concerns. Consumers, businesses, communities, and even government simply turn to digital and cashless solutions. Our platforms at Paymaya are built with financial inclusion and digitalization as thrusts, being the only end-to-end digital payments platform serving consumers, merchants, and government. It has enabled us to help build the digital payments ecosystem for the country. For many consumers, having an e-wallet like Paymaya or GCash for that matter was simply the fastest, easiest way to send money to loved ones and pay for everyday transactions. Going to a neighborhood remittance center, for example, like Smart Padala, was the most convenient way to remit money as well as add and cash out funds. Today, 1 in 2 Filipino adults have either a Paymaya account or have transacted at one of our remittance centers. For businesses, going digital became necessary to survive and thrive. We saw a big leap to e-commerce and use of contactless payments for on-ground establishments. During the pandemic, we started offering Paymaya Negosyo, an all-in-one acceptance mobile application for MSMEs. Even if these MSMEs don't have a website, they can also get paid instantly via social media, email, chat groups like Viber, and SMS with PayMaya's payment links and digital QR. The government also adopted digital payments for the fast and safe distribution of its financial aid to Filipinos, as well as convenient and secure collection of digital payments. For consumers, they can own a financial account for free. Today, 1 in 2 adult Filipinos have a PayMaya account or have gone to a smart padala center to transact. Many millions more are using our payment gateway and payment processing platform, regardless of which financial account they have. Now, over 160,000 merchants nationwide are enabled by our payment acceptance solutions. And as we deepen our resolve to bring digital to more unconnected Filipinos, we have transformed our 39,000 network of smart padala agents into a one-stop shop where they complete financial transactions, even if they don't own a smartphone. These partner agent touchpoints are present in 92% of all cities and municipalities all over the country. But being a digital company, it is given that it was easier for us to adjust to the new normal. But we also faced challenges that we turn into opportunities to transform how we do things. With the rise in transactions and registrations, we needed to ensure 24 by 7 availability and security of our operations, even as we also support our workforce and our partners. We also accelerated the automation of our processes. We are now using advanced technology to improve our KYC process, resulting to 99% of our applications now processed within an hour. We also deployed self-onboarding platforms for our merchant partners. Now they can start accepting digital payments as early as within 24 hours. For the SAP distribution, we deployed innovative voucher solution for faster and secure implementation. We work closely with our agents on ground and our partners such as BPOs and integrators. And for our agent network, we were able to ensure more than 80% availability of service even during the strict lockdowns upon the allowance of the BSP. For our BPO partners, our main challenge was limited operations during lockdowns or with rising COVID-19 cases, but we were able to pull through via proper scheduling and prioritization and enabling chatbots for customer services. During this pandemic, enabling our people's productivity and well-being during the work-from-home arrangement was also critical to maintain success. We have harnessed technology to foster stronger collaborations among our people, from full digital learning and development, online coaching and mentoring, digital employee feedback loop, productivity tools like web conferencing, and more. As we remain primarily in work-from-home arrangement, we saw the importance of providing support to employees to prevent pandemic burnout. This includes health hotlines, well-being webinars, funding health assistance. But to continue, Madam Chair, to thrive in the new normal, we need the full assistance and support of the government to help consumers and enterprises thrive in the new economy and further deepen financial inclusion. The rapid rollout of the national ID system is critical. A key challenge for many of our consumers right now is the lack of government-issued IDs during KYC due diligence and process. We and PayMaya support the government in any way we can to ensure that the national ID can be fully maximized. Related to the national ID system is the wide-scale implementation of the government's digital disbursement for social amelioration programs and general citizen benefits. During the pandemic, we have seen the rise of first-time account holders, particularly the beneficiaries of the government financial aid programs. With the national ID in place, we can also ensure faster disbursement to citizen beneficiaries. We also support, Madam Chair, the successful passage of legislations encouraging cashless payments for government and private sectors transactions. We affirm our commitment to legislation such as the Digital Payments Act of 2020 and the new normal for the workplace and public spaces. We also support the BSB's digital transformation roadmap, including the thrust for digital banking. This will expand and deepen financial inclusion, especially for the underserved consumers and MSMEs, as they can have access to other financial services such as savings, lending, insurance, and investments. We also support, Madam Chair, interoperable national payment systems such as QRPH for merchants, which we are set to implement together with other financial institutions. It would also be a good idea to incentivize businesses that adopt these standards. Related to digital payments growth is e-commerce. That is why we are committed to help the DTI to fully realize its e-commerce roadmap. Strong support is needed for our MSMEs. On our part, we will aggressively deploy business in a box payment solution to MSMEs, especially sari-sari stores, which can serve as catalysts for digital banking, payments, remittance, and digital lifestyle. With the rise of digital transactions, we also affirm our commitment to work with government bodies such as the AMLC, BSP, and NPC so we can protect the integrity of our financial systems and protect consumers. Thank you, Madam Chair, for allowing me to share the PayMaya story.
Thank you very much, Attorney Visaya, and you're one of the highlights of the economy today. Before recognizing GCash, I'd just like to query, you're the only guy who hasn't complained about the internet. I'm surprised.
We are managing, Madam Chair, because we also have different centers wherein our consumers, our customers can transact even without the use of the internet. So we have sari-sari stores and padala
That's
centers,
right.
so we don't need the internet there, Madam Chair. And we have
Yes, so
more than
yung
30,000.
Yung 39,000 na agents ninyo, they're operating in the physical realm. They're not necessarily online. I'm a little bit confused because on one hand, you had 39,000 agents all over the place in remittance centers. At the same time, ang sabi ninyo, karamihan ay work from home. Alin ba yung tinatrabahoan nila?
This, what we're saying, Madam Chair, is that those work from home arrangement are for employees. Those smart padala agents, those 39,000 are not organic employees of PayMaya, but we have contracted them to partner us to serve our customers.
Okay. So they're not actually employees, but they're the ones going around in the remittance centers, sari-sari stores, and other pay areas. Tama ba?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you very much, because it's very important that we understand this. I am personally quite obsessed with the possibilities for financial inclusion through all these payment platforms. For the huge majority of unbanked Filipinos, this seems to be the way out. Yes, Senator Villar is raising her hand. Yes, please.
I think one of the importance of this PayMaya is the role it will play sa distribution ng yung
Ayuda.
SAP yung para hindi ba palaging nako-complain na merong tawag dito hindi na di-distribute yung ating SAP. So ilan ang nadi-distribute yung SAP, yung ganitong mga PayMaya? How many percent of the yung distribution of financial assistance ng government ang nadi-distribute nyo?
So we were given quota by the government, particularly by the DSWD, Madam Chair, and they have given us these numbers. So as much as possible, if these people are identified, as long as they have telephone numbers that we can connect, we can create them an account and we can disperse it to our PayMaya centers, Madam Chair. But I don't have...
I just want to know ilang percent nung yung financial assistance na nadi-distribute digitally kasi di ba mas dangerous yung actual nakakaroon ng doon, nakawan doon. So I just want to have an idea ilang percent ng mga anong na i-distribute nila? You don't have any idea? Maybe we can find that out, Senator Amy, di ba?
Yes, I think that's important kasi pinaghati-hati ng DSWD sa iba't ibang grupo. May Cebuana Luyer, may Palawan,
Yeah.
may
Oo.
kung ano-ano siguro hingin natin. Pero on
Yes.
your part, from Paymaya, and since GCash is here with Attorney Macalino Season, magtatanong din kami, on your part, siguro yung DSWD participation kasi we're very keen to expand that eh. In fact, I was very heartened by the news this morning that the BIR figured out tax collections for April. Almost upwards of 99% digital payment na.
Opo.
Another question, bukod doon ha, I want Senator Amy to find out ilan bang percentage nung ano na yon, nung aid na yon ng government ang dumadaan digitally kasi mas safe yun eh, di ba? Diretso doon sa tao kaysa dadaan sa ibang tao. And another question is, yung sinasabi din ni Senator Amy, the Adbank Filipino, this is kasi chairman ako ng agriculture. Ang problema ng mga farmer, wala silang bank account. Oo. And then, pag wala kang bank account, pag uutang ka, hindi ka mapapautang kasi wala kang basis of credit, di ba? Oo. Eh nakita ko yan sa Indonesia, yung nung nag-ikot ako sa Indonesia for cacao, yung isang sari-sari store, pwede ka mag-deposito doon ng ano mo, para representative siya ng Bank of Indonesia. So sa katabi merong buying station ang Cargill, tapos sa tabi may sari-sari store na yung pinagbibili nila doon sa Cargill, dinideposito nila doon. Digitally, it's not a bank, it's a sari-sari store pero nakaka-deposito sila sa bangko. Kasi ang maganda doon, pag naidideposito mo yung sales mo, pag uutang ka sa bangko, may basis
That's right.
on credit standing ng isang person. Kaya I'm very interested in this if we can do this for our farmers kasi ang problema yung ating mga bangko parang hindi sila dito, but maybe we can devise a program na this GCash and Paymaya can help in this if the banks cannot do it. I don't know what we will do, but it's very important especially for agriculture, and 30% of Filipinos are in agriculture at mahihirap. Maganda na magkaroon sila ng record ng kanilang pera para may basis yung magpapautang sa kanila, how they will judge if you are available, if you are qualified for the loan, di ba? Kaya importante yung role nyo dito kasi kung mag-fail ang banks, kayo ang gagawa noon, di ba? So I guess that's what we have to study. Kasi sabi mo nga, parang almost 60% ng Filipinos are unbanked. Wala silang bank account. So how do you judge them when they borrow if they have no economic transaction whatsoever, di ba?
Right.
So parang baka may role yung digital companies dito na ma-solve tong problem na to kasi napakalaking problema nito in terms of helping our Filipino farmers kasi sila yung talagang tingin ko unbanked. And so with the sari-sari stores, di ba? Hindi ko maintindihan what is your relationship with sari-sari store. Can you describe your relationship with sari-sari stores?
Yes, ma'am.
Hindi ko ma-imagine yun eh. I want to know.
So just to start on your first comment, ma'am, about lending. As part of the ecosystem of Paymaya, we have in our ecosystem a lending company that could
Parang
lend
Alibaba.
farmers.
Alibaba, di ba? Ganyan. Di ba? Oo.
We have a lending company that can lend to micro businesses,
And
small-time
farmers.
farmers, and mga
Yes.
negosyantes na
Oo.
maliliit po. So we
Oo.
have that right now, and I think the BSB has opened up licensing for digital banks. Right
Yes,
now,
that's
and
right.
there are already applications to that effect, Madam.
Can you give me a briefer on how you do it sa mga sari-sari store and maybe sa farmers para I can understand because I do legislation for farmers. It's important na maintindihan ko to para when I make legislation baka makatulong din ako sa inyo in terms of incentives, di ba?
Yes, ma'am. I can provide you actually a written write-up or
Yeah,
prefer
yeah.
to be more comprehensive about it.
Yeah, yeah. So
After
I
this.
will understand. So maybe if the banks will fail to do this, maybe you can do this in behalf
Yes.
of the Adbank Filipinos, di ba? Oo.
Yes,
Sige.
madam.
Dati kasi sinasabi lagi na hindi kaya ng mga rural areas at karamihan ng Pilipino mag-digital payment. Pero na-force to good lahat ng pandemic, kayang-kaya pala.
Oo.
Napitan pala, aalamin, matututo, at yun nga, tatakbo lang sa sari-sari store. So we look forward to this, the developments in Indonesia and China, making
Yeah.
very clear that the future of banking is not the banks. It's really the digital payment platforms.
Yes.
So, doon na tayo.
Mm.
Okay.
And I want to mention that yung Bank of Indonesia, meron silang ganito, they can do it. And they're the biggest bank in Indonesia. And at the same time, ang kanilang portfolio, 85% small and micro. I mean, you cannot imagine a very profitable bank, a big bank, na ang majority ng kanilang portfolio, loan portfolio, small and micro. So they have devised a system by which they can do this. And I hope we can do that also in the Philippines. Yun lang.
Yes, that's why we've been filing bills on digital banking, and fortunately, the BSP has been very open, as mentioned by Attorney Bisaya. At this point, may I invite GCash to add to the discussion of digital payments, and we recognize Attorney Macalino Season. Baka marami kayong maidadagdag at namamayang pag ang GCash.
Thank you for that, Senator Amy Marcos. Well, so much has happened, so much has been undone, so much has changed actually within the past year or more. But and we at GCash, short of for lack of any other word, we're just grateful. Not really for the for the for the hype in the business, but we are grateful that for the past 3 years before this thing has happened, we were able to prepare for this heightened relevance of our product to the Filipino lives. Maybe I can share our vision and the growth of GCash. So
Yeah, we'd like to focus on the pandemic. Oo, ano na, how
Yes.
much did you grow? We're all excited.
Okay, so as digital services, including, of course, in addition to what Attorney Visaya has mentioned, digital services have in general been essential during the lockdown. And GCash became a lifeline to many Filipinos through our relevant services. We helping grow our platform, and we now have 40 million plus registered users, with active users using us at least twice a day. And with the immense number of Filipinos using and trusting our platform, we are continuing to pull ahead of global social media and entertainment apps. Just to give you an idea on how much GCash has been part of our lives, of our daily lives, in the past year. So at some point, we were ahead already of how much they use TikTok, Twitter, Netflix, Grab, Spotify, and even Viber. So this
Pero
only
hindi pa
shows
ninyo natatalo yung Facebook at YouTube.
meron yata mga araw na natatalo sila. So this is, and so I guess this shows how GCash has become part of the Filipinos' everyday life. In keeping the economy going, as businesses had to fully or partially close because of the lockdown, Filipinos had to digitalize. No, some of them were forced actually to digitalize their operations to keep up with the new normal times. GCash is giving medium-sized businesses, MSMEs, access to safe and convenient digital payments, enabling the economy to keep on moving, no? To pivot their services and their businesses. with this, we now have 1.9 million plus merchants and social sellers using GCash for cashless payments via the use of QR codes and P2P. Beyond how we help private businesses, we are most proud of our work with the public sector. I think this was already mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
We were able to provide during the pandemic, we were awarded with the funds for financial and relief aid, which is the SAP.
Sa
In disbursing over 16 billion pesos to 2 million plus Filipinos.
So lahat ba yun nadaan sa GCash?
Yes po, oo.
All
Ito
2
po yung
billion.
numbers
Do
na
you
lang.
know, do you recall if that's SAP 1 or 2?
I think this is
Parang ito
inclusive
2.
of, oo.
Oo,
No,
kasi nagkagulo-gulo yung 1 eh.
we participated also in one, pero siguro
Oo.
mostly in two ito. So beyond that, we also so as I was saying, we enabled Filipinos to be able to pay for their government fees also via bills pay. So for example, there are LGUs who have joined us and included us as their payment channel, which
I
will
see.
enable our private citizens to keep paying taxes, to keep paying their real property taxes and all those things, because we know, of course, taxes are the bloodline also of the government.
Were you the ones enlisted also together with Paymaya dun sa mga BIR payments?
Yes.
Yeah, kasi alam ko a lot of BIR payments were course through GCash eh.
Right. Kasi given that, we have the social distancing and the quarantine protocols, it's really, it made it difficult for the paying public to go physically to the offices or even to to banks to pay over the counter. So we were able to help um, serve as the payment channels for these institutions. And also we work more now with the LGUs, as I've mentioned, and the national government to make financial inclusion happen faster. This is also in line, of course, with the financial inclusion vision of BSP. For our financial services, GCash is at the forefront of providing easy access for financial services. Linked to our vision of finance for all, we are creating and continuously creating products that provide accessibility for financial inclusion. We have GSave, where our users enjoy the best savings interest rate in the country, with up to 4% per annum interest. Our G-Insure platform, which provides a platform for our insurance companies which has affordable coverage to life and health insurance, and more relevantly, we have coverages for dengue and COVID. For G-Invest, we have launched new funds that allow users to participate in growth of local and global brands. For example, this is how you can probably have, a few stocks of a fractional stocks, no, for Apple, for Google, for Globe, for Ayala, among others. With our fully digital credit line, which is G Credit, we are able to offer pay later services for their bills, offline purchases, and online shopping like via Shopee or via Lazada. I'm sure yan ang ating mga ngayon, kumbaga, if we're not working, at least we can shop naman a bit for ourselves.
Oo, wag na bukuhin yung ginagawa ng mga senadora.
Hindi.
Hindi, biro lang.
May data privacy tayo dyan.
Biro lang. Talaga, totoo. Yan ang pantawid init ng COVID at pantawid hirap.
Yes. So overall, we try to make everyday lives better. Beyond the growth and scale of our business, we want to tell you that about GCash as a member of the Filipino community also. As we continue to push for accessibility, now not only office workers but even enterprising Pinoy such as fishermen, farmers, palengke vendors, sari-sari stores, tricycle drivers are using GCash to accept cashless payments. I think if you go around, you will see our meron kami mga QR codes on the tricycles, sa palengke. So it shows na we are there on the ground with them, giving
How much of an increase is that? Because I suddenly saw the QR codes everywhere, as you said, even in the most unlikely fishing ports and so on. Kaya nagtataka rin ako, when did that happen and how did it happen so quickly?
Well, we leveraged on.
Is it true that you're upwards of 300 to 400% growth? Is that correct?
Yes, madam. Somewhere around that number.
Wala namang PIR dito. Tayo-tayo lang.
Compliant po, compliant.
Compliant. Oo nga daw. Oo nga. Tinanong ko rin eh. Oh yes, Senator Binay. Kailan kayo lumaki ng todo-todo? At which point in the lockdown? Nung sa umpisang-umpisa ba? Or nung natauhan na kaming lahat na matagal pa pala ito?
Okay, I think so we started 2020 at around 1.9 to 2 million, we call it MAU, monthly active usage, no?
Okay.
At the end of 2020, nag-spike na siya to around 8 to 10 million. So that's from March to December of 2020.
Grabe, no? Yes, Senator Binay.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Since nabanggit yung 8 to 10 million na yung siniservice nyo, what is the universe? Ano yung talagang tina-target nyo na market? I mean, how big is this market?
Oh, okay. So medyo sa legal po.
Pero di ba 100 million yung population natin?
Well, actually, ang registered namin ngayon, meaning they have downloaded the app, whether they have used it once or not, is around 40 million. 40 million subscribers.
40. But pero may possibility ba yan na ano? Kasi di ba yung sa GCash, it's your phone number, right?
Yes.
So pwedeng isang tao pero multiple, pwede ba yun? Sorry wala akong GCash, wala akong PayMaya, so I'm not that familiar. Pwede ba sa isang tao multiple GCash account? Or
parang Netflix, ha? So talaga.
Multiple wallets, but I think we're trying to, depending on the risk assessment of the company. So what we wanna allow.
Okay, hindi kasi di ba like yung phone number mo can be owned. You can have like 3 phone numbers, but that wouldn't translate to 3 GCash accounts, right?
When you say translate, you mean you can. You can.
You can. Okay, and then ano naman yung safety? How safe? Lalo na you mentioned na meron kayong, I think kayo lang ata yung may G-Save, di ba? Kayo lang yung may savings component, and I think kanina nabanggit mo din investment. I don't think PayMaya provides this service or benefit.
Although if I may, sabi ng PayMaya, sabi ni Attorney Bisaya kanina, na talagang they had to ramp up now their security and safety features sa dami ng gumamit bigla.
Yes. So okay, actually,
Paano kayo ng mango? Ba't may mango? Kung kahapon lang na binigay nila,
Si Mama Bear.
Si Mama Bear. Attorney Seth, sanay na kami dyan. Okay lang.
Okay.
Sige, Attorney Seth.
Kasi may tanong.
Hindi. Yun, yung tanong nga na
Yeah, yung safety
yung security features,
platform.
are you have you actually ratcheted up your cybersecurity efforts?
Yes. We are GCash as an electronic money issuer is licensed by the Bangko Sentral, no, by the BSP, and part of that, and also as an EMI, we are a covered entity by the AMLA. So we have in place in place in our system security tools, and of course we have to comply with documentary tools and regulatory requirements. So, yung sa GSave, I just want to make it clear, hindi sa amin napupunta yung money for we are a platform for these services. So for the GSave, we have CIMB, that's the CIMB bank. So we are the access going to CIMB. Kami yung channel na from the wallet user that ilalagay niya, isi-send niya ngayon yung to CIMB. So the depository bank is CIMB.
And hindi naman kayo nakatali sa CIMB lang.
Hindi.
No.
So, it's a platform for everyone.
Potential pala niya. Katulad dun sa nabanggit ni Senator Villar kanina. In fact, dun sa every time na may agri-hearing kami, yung laging concern namin is how to make it easy and convenient to our farmers. Itong access sila to credit. So, pwede pala kayo makitie up with Land Bank or
Yes.
Actually,
Yes.
Nance,
diba? Kasi yun yung concern dun sa huling hearing namin, yung naming farmers na hindi maka-open ng bank account, diba? Dahil
lagi na lang yan ang problema. Actually, ang magandang nangyari sa China, from which we can derive inspiration, is that a lot of them built up credit records with the payment platforms just like GCash and Paymaya. After a year, tinurn over na nila yung magandang credit record nila sa totoong bangko at dumiretso na sila, nagbukas na ng account. Lahat sila naging qualified dahil sa kagagamit ng equivalent nila ng GCash and Paymaya. And suddenly, the unbanked was drastically reduced. Ang ganda nga eh.
Yes.
then ito ba yung Alipay?
Oh, Alibaba yun. It started with Alibaba.
Alibaba. Oo.
Yeah.
And
Alipay.
anong minimum for your GSave? Do they need to open an account first dun sa bank? Or
So I think, sorry, wala ako sa but yung minimum, I think that so they send minsan may promo sila. So for example, I think it's more on a maximum than minimum. So
I guess we can ask them to do as a briefer so we will understand. Kasi hindi kami nag-GCash at Paymaya and yet we need it for our hearing sa agriculture. So maybe you can describe your services para makita namin how it can be related to agriculture, di ba? Kasi yung agriculture ang main concern namin na ang bank talaga yung mga farmers eh. Oo. So
actually,
maybe
ang dami-daming potential ng payment platforms. Kaya kinumbida ko sila ngayon eh. Kasi interesado rin ako kung paano natin magagamit sa iba't ibang platform at iba't ibang application. Ang galing eh.
Oh, sa small and micro also, di ba?
MSMEs. Oo, panalo.
Oh.
Halos lahat may cellphone na, di ba? Kaya this is very...
mas nauna pa nga sila mag-cellphone kaysa mag-open ng bank account eh. Hat na hat sila sa cellphone.
Totoo yun. Totoo yun.
Kahit anong hirap may cellphone pero walang bank account. Ano ba yan?
Tapos yung malaki natin problema ng mga graduates of 2020, yung class of 2021, yung mga bagets, lahat yan na nakakabit sa cellphone, wala namang mahanap na trabaho, lahat sila naka-e-commerce. Kaya kinakailangan talaga they be harnessed for...
ang dami naghahanap ng empleyado, ayaw nilang magpa-empleyo ngayon. At ayaw nila magtrabaho sa office, gusto nila work at home. Oh.
Ako, ibang sakit naman po yun.
Alam mo, nagtataka ako, ang dami naming kailangan, hindi makahanap ng empleyado at ayaw daw
Ano rin dito?
magpa-empleyo. Ano
Totoo
ba
po
yun?
yan. Hanggang dito
Maluloko
sa
ako.
Ilocos, lahat na repatriated OFW, may mga natanggal sa Manila, nagsarahan, di namin maintindihan, di naman magpa-hire.
At ayaw magpa-hire. Oh, ang dami namin bakanting. Ang hirap mag-hire ngayon, ha? Mapili.
Miss Season, question na lang. Since hindi nga kami well, I'm not familiar with, I am a little bit familiar, pero alam ko lang kasi dun sa GCash, pwede mo siyang pangbayad, di ba? But
Yes.
can you withdraw money?
Can you?
May G-Invest.
May nagbayad sa akin, can I actually get the paper money
Yes.
na
Yes.
lend dun,
Oo.
no? So pwede, hindi siya parang wallet na you only use to pay for
No, no.
whatever.
Yeah. So there are some options if you wish to withdraw it and get the fiat money, that's as we call it. So, meron you can go to our remittance outlets, 7-Eleven, or Cebuana Lulier, yung mga yan, or
Yun yung ayuda, yun.
ganon yung nila.
And then question, yung admin fee nyo ba is competitive or lower dun sa admin fee, let's say, ng land bank?
Yes.
Alala ko sa ayuda, umabot ng
Sa
50
remittance.
pesos. Sa ayuda, umabot ng 50 pesos ang fees.
Kasi alam naman natin, Aimee, katulad dun sa, hindi ko alam kung nagdi-distribute na rin kayo ng 4Ps ng Pantawid, itong GCash or Paymaya.
Hindi pa. Yung SAP lang, 1 and 2.
O kasi di ba ang 4P sa land bank eh.
That's right. Pero kung tutuusin, baka pwede na nila i-convert. Basta
Kasi kung walang land bank.
ang hinihingi na lang, ibagsak daw ng GCash yung kanilang fees na 50 to 100 pesos kada transaksyon. Kasi
Hindi kami naniningil. Actually, we namin yung sa amin. So, I think yung mga yun is yung mga remittance outlets ang naniningil.
Ay, galon? Okay.
So, ano pa kayo? Parang may third party pa kayo. Parang ganun ba?
For cash out. Yes, for cash out.
And then, ano naman yung job generation ng industry?
For job generation ng GCash?
Yes.
Ilan na empleyado nyo?
Ano is baka may, well, the fear is baka may sector kayo madi-displace, right? For example, yung, I guess, mga bangko. Kasi, yung convenient, yung platform nyo is more convenient or
yeah, but
parang there's this segment na pwede ma-displace because mag-shift sila to your platform.
Actually,
yung itself can also generate jobs.
Yes. So, to your first statement, Senator, what we actually tell our the banks, our affiliates, even our is that we are not their competitors. We are not actually competitors because what we cater to and what we service, who we service, are those who are unbanked. These are the ones that they refuse. They refuse to serve, right? Because they are limited by regulatory so yun na kinukuha namin, yung walang papeles masyado, 'di ba? Yung walang masyadong cash na but kailangan lang nila ng a place or a storage or a channel where yung employer nila na yung mga kunwari mga binabayaran mo weekly or daily, doon ibibigay sa iyo, hindi na papadaanin sa bangko. Ito yung mga ito yung aming public. This is our public. These are our clients. So, in that sense, I don't think we are displacing any bank or any personnel or any employee for that matter. On the positive side, since we are now more relevant, since now mas marami nang nagtitiwala siguro sa platform and sa service that we are trying to provide, ganun din. We have to monitor more services. We have to monitor more transactions. So in that sense, we keep employing this new breed of employees. These are the ones who are medyo tech savvy na, 'di ba? Meron na silang on data, meron na silang the culture of data protection. These are the new breed of helpers, our new breed of employees. So yes, since may growth din dito, actually medyo nga kami kasi parating napapirate yung mga tao namin ngayon because since there's a lot of lumalabas na mga rin dyan na who wants to do this business, and we were here first, parang naging training ground yung aming so marami talagang exchange of exchange of resources. While we need more, there are also companies now who want to leverage and who want to take advantage of the learnings that they got from our product, from our company.
I guess parang pwede din pala to do a tie-up with JED. Kasi Sen Aimee, parang this is another parang dun sa mga graduates natin, parang upskilling sa kanila, 'di ba? Itong platform nyo.
Yes, meron din kami, sometimes we do kasi dati medyo pwedeng physically to do that. We go to schools.
Yes, I remember that. Umabot kayo sa norte.
Yes, oo, marami kasi tayong since information at saka technology, na yan wala nang boundaries yan, wala nang kailangan na hindi na kailangan na taga Manila, hindi kailangan na ganun. In fact, they can contribute to inputs, to insights. They can contribute their on their eco world there. Ganyan. We need all those inputs.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. And siguro share ko lang, I think yung pinaka-successful venture ng GCash is with Makati.
Yes.
Zen card.
Yes.
With whom? Sorry?
Makati Zen.
Yeah, Makati.
We want to, we actually want to duplicate and replicate that in the other LGUs.
Wala pa ba kayo next?
What did you do for Makati? I'm
Yung
curious.
payment portal, oo.
For taxes and for
sa lahat po. Basta yung kunwari, yung kanilang
kind of payment or payout?
Payout.
Yes, that's right.
Payout. Oo.
Maganda kasi ang database ng Makati. So,
Saka marami silang pera kaya sila may payout. Kasi yung ibang local government cannot afford the payout. Makati, dami nilang pera.
So wala ba kayong LGU na next after Makati?
Wala. We're talking to almost all, but hindi siya as comprehensive as what we did in Makati.
Ang laging problema din yung what Mr. Bisaya mentioned earlier, yung national ID talaga. It's only Makati yata na may directory na maayos-ayos. Yung sa ibang lugar kasi, sabog-sabog, kulang-kulang yung mga listahan.
At saka yung technology, yung IT nila, hindi pa rin ganun
Well, I think that's nationwide.
And I guess important din yung signal sa inyo, di ba? Kung hindi maganda yung signal, will your platform be successful?
Hindi naman sa success. It needs a minimum of networking, of signal. That's why naman kami with Globe, we are aligned with Globe.
I guess it helps the system company.
All right, so
yes.
like Attorney Visaya, I'm counting on your support, Attorney Chef. your support with the cashless legislation, digital banking legislation, some initiated by the BSP, others initiated by legislators. ID to fast track, as well as the improvements obviously in IT infrastructure. So yung DTI e-commerce roadmap, I'm sure you support that as well. And I hope we can come up with some incentives for GCash and the rest to cover the entire 40 million universe out there of payers and payees. So thanks very much. And with that, we can proceed. Committee Secretary, perhaps we can call on Mr. Eric Teng of the Restaurant Owners kasi siya yung naunang pumasok kanina eh. Perhaps,
Yes, Senator. Siya po yung unang nag-log-in.
Kaya nga, aga-aga pa, kanina pa yan eh. Kaya mukhang hirap talaga yung restaurant owners.
Yeah.
Ang aga-aga, arito na. So,
No,
may we
talaga.
call on and recognize Mr. Eric Teng po.
Thank
Ayan.
you.
Bigay mo to kay RBT.
Thank you, Senator Marcos. Thank you for inviting us to this dialogue. Thank you also. Good morning also to Senator Villar, Senator Tolentino, and Senator Binay. It's a privilege to be speaking in front of you. With your indulgence, our F&B industry is one of the worst hit industry in the world, aside from the airlines and tourism. Rest of PH was actually founded by us struggling restaurateurs to be able to help one another and also to be supportive of government in their activities. In fact, one of the first few groups of people we were able to dialogue with was with Secretary Mon Lopez of DTI, Secretary Nograles, Secretary Dar, Secretary Chan, and Secretary Dominguez. Much of the protocols that are being used in the restaurants today were actually crafted by us in Rest of PH in collaboration with the DTI. With that, our industry, of course, as you all know, is in dire straits. For 2020, our transaction has declined by 60%, and the outlet numbers for the full service sector has been down by 6%. We face uncertainty not just by COVID, but also by difficult policies imposed on us due to safety concerns, surges and spikes, and of course the new variants. In our view, we can only survive if the public is safe. We can only grow and recover if all of us are still functional. So in our view, COVID can be a permanent part of life, and we have to survive in that COVID situation. We are now actually going more into lockdown management instead of lockdown prevention. So we have been in dialogue with many mayors, including Mayor Binay, Mayor Belmonte, Mayor Soto, Mayor Abalos, and Mayor Tolentino. And we've collaborated with our landlords as well on how we can bring more confidence and traffic back to the restaurants. It doesn't help when the first sign of trouble, we are always single-handedly pointed as a problem. Yet we have asked for more data, and very few have given us. It has still to be proven that restaurants are one of the causes of spread of the virus. The only LGU that has provided us any significant data was Quezon City, and their data showed that only 0.5% of all infected were attributable to restaurants. In fact, much of our membership have reported no contact tracing calls or no outbreaks amongst our ranks. We still believe that the current policy of 20% is a very good policy for controlling the spread, and we fully support any government moves for promotion of public safety. After all, public safety is one of the key tenets of
I'm sorry, you're referring to 20% as 20% of what?
20% indoor seating limitation.
Indoor. Okay.
Yes.
That's not the total na, kasi we're far from there na.
No, we are allowed 50% outdoor dining capacity. However, as much as 90% of all restaurants do not have outdoor dining capacity. So we only can live with 20%. As such, we have been in dialogue with our mayors and the DTI, and we are requesting for something called the Bakuna badge, which is a vaccine pass. It's non-discriminatory. We would
Bakuna what? I'm sorry, I didn't catch you.
we are calling it the Bakuna badge.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like a vaccine pass, but it's
Right.
non-discriminatory. And our first goal is to bring out the vaccinated senior citizens. They're fully vaccinated, but still they're still not allowed to go to restaurants. They're allowed to travel, but they're not allowed to go to restaurants. They're allowed to go to hardware stores, but not to restaurants.
Yes, I was really perplexed by that DOH announcement.
Yeah. So we are hopeful that with the support of the LGUs, we can ask them to recognize restaurants and recognize vaccinated seniors to be allowed out again, just so we can have some normalcy in their lives. We're also happy to share that our group, together with McDonald's and Jollibee, we are launching our Bakuna Benefits Program, which would give discounts or promos to anyone who's been vaccinated, even after their first shot. This program will be launched on June 1st, and our intention is to promote vaccination and to reduce hesitancy for vaccines. And we will run this program from June 1st all the way to end of November. We have also been in contact and collaborations with our legislators, and we have asked for a few things in which they are very supportive, and we hope that we can get your committee to support our requests. We are requesting for tax holidays for our landlords so that they themselves can continue extending rent reprieve and rent support to their tenants. We are asking for tax holidays for our F&B members so that we can reinvest in our own business and hire people back. We are requesting for the PWD cards and senior citizens card discount to be deductible against our taxes, because currently that 20% is absorbed fully by the business operator. We are also requesting that farmers and food producers have unhindered access to markets. One of our earliest projects in Resto PH was to help the Department of Agriculture resolve a lot of excess vegetables which were just being thrown away. And for the farmers, a lost harvest means a loss of livelihood completely. And the loss of restaurant operations really hurt a lot of the farmers.
You said you asked the DA. What did they do?
The Department of Agriculture and us collaborated to create something called the Farmers Produce Program, where we reached out to the farmers and get their produce to be sold directly to market. We are very fortunate that SM was one of the first to offer their place for the farmers, and we were able to sell. The farmers directly were there in the store, and we were offering our services with Resto PH as a food provider. And eventually the other malls followed, and it's now quite a large number of malls doing this across the country. So we're very happy with this project. So with that, we are hopeful that we can move forward together with government, because right now there's a huge stigma.
How much do the much vaunted online food sales and the food deliveries constitute? I'm told it's down 20%. It only makes up 20% of your usual sales, or maybe even less.
It will depend on the restaurant, what we call product-based restaurants versus experience-based restaurants. My restaurants are more experience-based, which is Mango Tree and Genki Sushi.
I see.
We cannot deliver the same quality of product and service in a delivery setting as, for example, a pizza place or burger place. So certain concepts will do well with delivery. A lot of concepts in the full service.
Like in your case, given that you're experience-based, as it were, how much of your total are you able to make up with online and food delivery?
That would account for less than 20%, Senator.
Kaya nga that's what I'm told. It's less than 20%. It's only the fast food that is able to generate more sales through online. Is that correct?
Yes, they can account for over 50% of their total sales. One of the biggest beneficiary of food delivery, of course, is the pizza places.
That's right.
It's a very difficult situation for many of us, but we're hopeful that by third quarter, with policy changes that we are asking from government, and we hope that they can be granted, we can function better, especially with the Bakuna badge.
What are you hoping for with the Bakuna badge? You assure us that it will be non-discriminatory. Exactly what advantages do you hope to derive from said badge? Because people are also saying that, in fact, it differentiates from those who were able to get vaccinated and those through no fault or choice of their own have not yet been vaccinated.
We've always said that our version of the vaccine pass is not a door to keep people out. It's a key to bring people in. Saying that our version is discriminatory is like saying a senior citizens card is discriminatory against young people. We're not excluding customers from coming into our restaurant, whether they're vaccinated or not. But for now, the 65-year-old are discriminated against because they're not allowed.
They're not allowed.
Yeah. So what we're hoping is that if government limits us to 20%, to grant us another 20% for the vaccinated. We're not taking it away from anyone, whether they're vaccinated or not. We just want additional capacity for the vaccinated so that we can hire back our people with increased capacity. And should there come a time where government can allow us 75% indoor capacity, we only ask the maximum to make. I mean, the maximum that we're asking for is only 25%. So if it's 50%, then it's another 25% to make it 75%. And if it's 100%, well, we're out of the woods already when we're at that state. We're very happy to share with you with our experiences with our restaurants in other countries, where with high vaccination rate, like in the US, the restaurants are pretty much normal today. They don't even require masks because they found that vaccinated people have minimal risk of contracting the virus or passing on the virus. We're hopeful that the DOH can adapt this finding and put this in place for policies especially for the F&B sector.
But as you rightly pointed out, we were very confused by the DOH prohibition because it allowed seniors to go to travel, to take public transport, in fact, to walk around malls and so on. But for some reason, they're not allowed to dine, given that the justification was that dining down was a prime venue of infection.
Yeah.
Amy, question.
Tama ba yun? Senator Binay, Senator Villar? Apo, sige, Senator
Pwede
Binay.
kasi yung senior, pwede lang sila ata mag-exercise for a few minutes. Pero hindi pa rin sila pwedeng lumabas. Bawal
vaccinated na sila. Why did you vaccinate them if you will not allow them to get out?
No, I think kasi siguro yung scenario na iniisip ni Mr. Sten.
Wala pa raw herd immunity.
Is only possible kung yung mga service workers natin sa restaurant vaccinated na din. Because
we'll do it in June. A4 sa June.
Na yung A4 because yung
A4
pwede silang mag-spread ng virus. Kasi 'di ba kahit vaccinated ka na, you can still get the virus asymptomatic pero you're spreading. So hindi
But it's ironical that you give priority to them and then you will not allow them to go out. What's the use? What's the use? 'Di ba? Parang ang labo nun, 'di ba?
Hindi
kaya nga kami nagtataka, kaya tanong natin sa DOH.
No, kaya sila pinapabakunahan kasi sila ho yung pwedeng mamatay when they get the virus.
Yeah, but
sila yung pwedeng
yeah, of course we understand that, but still it defies logic, ano? Mahirap ipaliwanag sa ating mga senyoritas and senyoritos, no?
Kasi yung mga senior citizens natin, sila yung pwedeng cause ng collapse ng health system natin kasi sila yung prone to...
Yeah, but if you're vaccinated, the assurance of the vaccination is that you will not be, you don't have to go to the hospital. You just have to, kung magkaroon ka man slight flu, but never death and never serious COVID illnesses. Yun ang 100% assurance ng vaccination. Kaya yung mga tayo, di ba rule natin, the available vaccine is the best vaccine. Kasi lahat ng vaccine, parang ang kanilang assurance hindi ka mamamatay at hindi ka magkakaroon ng serious COVID. Eh, yun lang naman ang kinatatakutan natin. Yun din ang kinatatakutan ng senior citizens. So, kung vaccinated ka, wala ka ng serious illness at wala ka ng death. Yun ang 100% eh.
Yeah,
And yung iba, kung magka-flu ka, mild flu. So pwede na yun. Ako, kung magka-flu ako ng mild flu, okay na yun. Basta wag lang ako mamamatay o wag lang ako magkakaroon ng serious na ma-hospital ako. And that is the assurance of vaccine. Binasa ko na lahat sila, doon sila 100%. Serious illness at saka death. Kaya tayo lahat, gusto natin magpa-vaccinate kasi yun lang naman ang kinatatakutan natin. Yung flu, araw-araw nagkaka-flu tayo, wala naman tayong problema eh. Hindi ko nga maintindihan yung 65, anybody beyond 65, hindi pwedeng lumabas kahit na vaccinated. Hindi maliit na risk mo dun eh. Ano lang yun eh, flu, not death nor death lang at saka ang 100% assurance ng vaccine, death and serious COVID illness. Yun lang. Oo.
Kaso lang kasi yung senior citizen can be a spreader. Kasi nga yung vaccine can only protect yung nabakunahan from severe, pero at the moment
lahat tayo spreader. In other words, bakit naman mo pinagbawalan ng senior citizen na mag-spread?
Kasi pwedeng mag-positive kahit nabakunahan, pwedeng mag-positive.
Yes, we know. But everybody is like that. Kawawa naman yung mga senior citizen, di ba? Baka mga maloko na yun sa bahay.
When they go to a restaurant na yung mga waiter natin ay hindi pa nababakunahan, parang baka naman yung mga waiters natin sa restaurant, sila naman yung magkaka-COVID.
Anybody who goes to the restaurant is a spreader. Kung ganon. 'Di ba? So bakit mo naman parang pagbabawalan mo yung senior citizen, lahat naman spreader naman. Hindi naman lang yung senior citizen. Parang kawawa naman sila, 'di ba? Ewan ko, natatawa ako doon sa 65 eh. Kasi ako 65, di naman nila ako pinipigil.
Pag nag-open na yung A4, pwede nang payagan.
Oo, dapat. Kawawa naman.
If I may respond to Senator Binay.
Yes, Mr. Teng, please.
Ma'am, part of it is also we need to balance the rights of the workers who don't want to get vaccinated. We're not forcing everyone in the A4 to get vaccinated. Therefore, we must never use that as a pre-qualifier for allowing people into our restaurant or to come to work. We're just trying to balance things out. I'm encouraged by the CDC findings of states, and they've been open in restaurants for a week now. The seniors have been out, and they have not caused any spread of the virus. In Israel, they have this green pass, and they were able to go that faster and further because their vaccination rate was a lot faster and it was more intensified. And the seniors, the retirees in Israel did not report any significant increase in cases. May I also share that in the restaurant industry.
Pero siguro, Mr. Tan, can I just share? Kasi yung nabanggit ng Israel at US, technically, medyo na-achieve na nila yung herd immunity eh. Like, ilang percent Israel, di ba?
I just want to make a manifestation with regards to that. I read the press release that the lowest infection in US is 30,000 per day. 30,000 per day, malaki yun kasi ang US 300 million, 30,000 per day. Tayo nga na hindi vaccinate, walang herd immunity, ang ano natin 6,000 out of 100 million. Yung 30,000 parang 10,000 per 100 million yon. Mas mababa pa tayo sa US eh. Nagulat nga ako doon sa sinasabi nila, ang infection nila ngayon 30,000 per day sa population na 300 million. So pag dinivide mo yon, dapat ang Philippines kung pareho ng US, 10,000 per day. Ano lang tayo, 5,000 per day, bumababa na nga eh. Di ibig sabihin, iba yung definition nila ng infection kaya sa atin, ang higpit natin. Kasi nagulat nga ako, kala ko yung herd immunity mababa yun. 30,000 per day sila eh. Nagulat ako dun sa press release na yun. Lowest nila ever is 30,000 per day. So kung in-apply mo sa Philippines yun, 10,000 a day tayo. Tayo nga 5,000 na lang. Nagtitri na nga tayo eh. Ba't sila open sa lahat? Tayo ang higpit-higpit, di ba?
Yeah, Mr. Teng, I think you had a response as well.
Yes, ma'am. The vaccine pass that we're asking for is not really for immediate application, but will also wait for a certain period of time for implementation. But we are preparing for that. We're hoping that by July, we can get that in place when we have more vaccines out. But majority of the senior citizens now, as well as the health workers, are already vaccinated. I myself have been vaccinated, but I'm not a senior citizen. I'm just one with comorbidity. And I haven't experienced anything of any side effects. And we want to encourage more young people in the A4 group to get vaccinated soon. We are pushing with rest of PH with the LGUs to get most of our vaccination done as short a time as possible. To Senator Binay's point, we would be very happy to segregate a special area for vaccinated seniors to avail of our services and our products. But we also want to respect the rights of the individual against the optics of discrimination. We are very careful about that. But like I said, we are not rushing things, but I think we need to move forward because, as we said earlier, COVID will be a permanent part of our lives and we cannot hide from it forever because we're just killing ourselves slowly, surely. We have to get out of this somehow. And if we wait for herd immunity will be a moving target. There will be surges and spikes later on. There will be variants. There might be a COVID 24, 26, 28. We need a runway to function. We would hope that government can come up with a tiering system. Like in LA, they have yellow tier, orange tier, red tier. And you don't jump from yellow to red or red to yellow. We have to go through stages so that the business can cope with whatever pandemic situation will be out there. Right now, we are almost waiting within a 48-hour period before any of the quarantine restrictions are declared changed. So we are waiting with bated breath for those midnight TV announcements before we make our pronouncement with our members. And we have 48 hours to change them. So that's quite volatile and difficult to cope with.
Yes, Mr. Teng, question lang. Did you do a survey already kung ilan yung willing na magpa-bakuna?
In my restaurant, we are close to 80%, but the majority reports something like 60% are willing to be vaccinated. But we are studying this model where we only need 30% to 40% to be vaccinated to be able to function. The middle 30% who are still on the fence, they can easily be convinced when their friends and their colleagues or their church mates get vaccinated. We are not really pushing for the remaining 30% who are anti-vaxxers to be vaccinated because we can never change their minds.
Okay.
But I don't think they will affect the impact of the 70% of the economy. We can
Chairman, yeah. From our experience sa amin sa local, parang 10 ang ayaw. Hindi yung sinasabi nilang 30. Siguro pag sagot sa survey, ayaw. Pero pag nakita na nagba-vaccinate ka na, parang 10% lang ang naiiwan. Sa amin, sa experience namin when we vaccinate. Siguro yung pagsagot lang sa survey, medyo yung alanganin. Pero pag nakita nilang nagpapavaccinate na yung iba, sama ng lahat eh. Konti lang talaga naiiwan. Minsan yung naiiwan, talagang merong comorbidity na pinagbabawalan ng doktor and complicated. Pero in general, pag nagpa-vaccinate na yung iba, hindi kasi magigilty ka rin ayaw mo magpa-vaccinate, hahawahan mo yung iba, kawawa naman, di ba? Parang in a restaurant, palagay mo na yung merong ayaw magpa-vaccinate, ba't naman siya pahihirapan niya yung mga kasama niya na may possibility mahawa dahil ayaw niya, di ba? Yun yung question doon. Parang wala ka rin pakisama, di ba? Unless, of course, sinabi ng doktor mo na bawal sa'yo, di ba? Pero yung swim mo lang na ayaw mo, parang hindi ka rin considerate sa ibang tao na mahahawa mo pag hindi ka nagpa-vaccinate.
Thank you. Thank you. So, Mr. Teng, your association, the Restaurant Owners Association, request for tax holidays for landlords, for F&B members.
Ma'am, we lost you.
All of that is well taken.
Thank you, Senator.
Yes, we'll see what we can do. But as you know, our finance managers are also hard put to generate revenue in these difficult times. But we'll certainly pass the message along, not only to DTI, as I know Secretary Mon Lopez has been very, very helpful. And I'd like to make a personal request regarding the operations of your project with DA, the collaboration of the Farmers Produce Program, so that we can help enlarge, enhance it. Our chairwoman for agriculture is here. Perhaps we can expand that effort. And we still have several others who are here. So I would like to call on next the Zwelly.
I mean, Senator Binay would like to make a manifestation.
Yes,
I think
please.
just to add then, I think yung DTI may effort to, parang nagbibigay sila ng seal dun sa mga establishments, di ba? Kung kunyari yung air filtering nila, parang may standard that maganda yung filter system nila. May ginagawa din yung DTI na ganon to assure the public na yung establishment itself is parang ano ba siya, compliant to the new normal. So may ganong efforts then, both coming from government and from the establishments. Yun lang, Sen Amy. And I think I can see Mr. Teng nodding his head. Siguro yung mga members din nila is also doing this. Kumbaga, nagre-retrofit din sila ng establishments nila.
Ayun na nga, yun din dapat tulungan kasi ang mahal-mahal mag-retrofit. Magbubukas ka ng mga bintana, maghanap ka ng outdoor, additional hand washing, sangkatuktak na health protocols. Hindi na nga kumikita, may gastos pa. Ang tindi talaga ng sitwasyon, ano. So, with that, if there are no further manifestations, I'd like to call on the 4 others who still are here. Miss Janet Yakosalem, who was here very early, representing the Zwellig Family Foundation. And they also provided a position paper. If you could just explain the highlights of that with regard to pharma. But of course, we're in full admiration of your building, of the extraordinary LEED certified Zwellig headquarters in Makati that's now become a green landmark for all of us. So please proceed, Ms. Yakusalem.
Hi, Senator Marcos, Ms. Chair. Just to clarify ho, I am with Zulig Pharma Corporation and not with the Zulig Family Foundation po.
Okay.
So,
okay. So there's a distinction.
Yes, and I apologize. I will not be able to talk about the Zulig building. Okay. Although if you want ho, I can talk you through about our warehouse in Santa Rosa, Laguna. We recently inaugurated it, Ms. Chair, last October, and it's also LEED certified.
Yes. So what does a LEED certified warehouse look like? Anong pinagkaiba? And when did you open it? Bago lang to, di ba?
Bago lang po. It was inaugurated last October 2020. So in fact,
was it a response to COVID or talagang it's in the pipeline kasi LEED certified ang habol ninyo sa lahat ng bagay?
It was in the pipeline because we needed more warehouse space for the growing business. And following the example of our shareholders, yung building nila sa Makati, we thought it was also worthwhile to go for LEED certification ng warehouse namin. As a company po kasi, as a company, we're very strong in sustainability. We have a lot of programs around sustainability, and setting up the LEED warehouse in Santa Rosa supports one of our pillars, which is on respecting the environment.
So what are the highlights of a sustainable warehouse? What are the highlighted
So if
changes
I may
from
lang,
an ordinary
Madam Chair,
warehouse? Yes. Sorry.
okay, sige ho, if I may, Madam Chair, the LEED stands for Leadership in Energy and Environment Design.
Yes.
So for any structure to get that certification, you actually need to already be planning around it. Even at the time when you're designing your building, you already need to incorporate the LEED standards into your design, your architectural and your engineering designs, and even in terms of how you do your construction. Kasi pati yung waste that your constructors generate out of the site is being measured. So they have a certain percentage of how much waste you should be generating out of your construction facility. Those are just some of the highlights of getting that LEED certification.
Aside from the
They
waste
also consider the location.
aside from the waste during the construction period, what are the other aspects that earned you the LEED certification?
Okay, yung key features ho of the facility. So we put up solar roofs on top of the warehouse. It's actually about 1 hectare of solar panels that we put up, and it saved us 40% on energy cost. What's actually interesting about the solar roof is kasi minsan people think na it's expensive, no? But there are companies we
Nawawala.
they actually put in the capex for the solar roof.
I see. Okay. Right.
Yeah, can you hear me now? Yeah.
Yes, a little bit better, but it's,
you don't actually need to spend money.
okay. How is that? You mean to say the supplier
You
provides
don't
it?
need to.
Because there are deals now that are
Yes,
you
yes,
saying
Senator.
the supplier actually provides the solar panels to be paid over a period calculated against your energy cost and savings? Ganun ba yun?
Yes. Yes, yes. So it's not they spend for the infrastructure.
Yes,
It's
no upfront,
relatively
diba? It's
no
not
cost.
an upfront expense.
Yes, no. Yes, yes. And in fact, there's the new technology today. You don't even need to build special roofing to allow you to accommodate the weight of the panels, because the panels that's already being constructed today are already lighter.
I see.
So really, it's not that difficult anymore to set up solar roofs.
But they're so
Yeah.
expensive.
And another
we've had so much trouble trying to solarize our public buildings in Ilocos Norte, and it still costs a great deal.
honestly, for us, Senator, no cost because everything was already paid for by the supplier.
Correct.
They just bill us on a monthly basis. Effectively, we buy back the energy
That's
from
right.
them.
But you would have spent anyway. Yeah. I think LGUs and government were constrained also by the audit regulations and DBM regulations. So
Yes,
siguro that's
yes.
another area that can be discussed going forward. Na sana hayaan itong mga paying forward na schemes to allow for sustainable and resilient changes in the workplace.
Yes, yes, that's right. Another feature of the facility is instead of using the regular air conditioning units, because we need to cool our warehouse, it's about 20,000 square meters big, we converted to chilled water cooling towers.
That's right.
Which is more efficient in terms of generating cooling capability for a very big space. space. No?
Yes, we've had very good experience with chillers here in Ilocos Norte, where it's been exceedingly hot. It was half the price to put in and half the price to maintain, as a matter of fact.
Yes, that's right po. So that actually contributed to a 40% reduction in energy consumption, just converting to the chilled water cooling system.
Yeah.
And then we also use intelligent system. So this
So
is
there's
where
sensors.
the lights turn on.
Naka-sensor sila?
Yes,
Okay.
yes. Sensor. Yes, naka-sensor ho. So if there's no one there, the light shut off.
Yeah.
But if the system detects movement, then it turns on. And then this is also another area where you supplier. Again, they pay for the investment. They charge you based on your savings. It's a cost sharing, kumbaga savings sharing. So no upfront cost also for us to set it up. And then the usual now, like efficient use of water in toilets are recycled, recycling of rainwater, just really the usual stuff now. The office design is also open, where you allow natural lighting to get in. Airflow is also efficient, which is also good for today,
Are you using
considering
local
the
architects?
COVID.
Are you using local architects? Because obviously lead certification is very costly, and many of our architects are not fully aware of its possibilities. No, in fact, I know that there's a local edition, the Verde, and other efforts, to bring the cost down and the awareness up. So, are you using by and large mga local, or you have to get foreign consultants?
We had to use a foreign construction company, a Japanese firm, Madam Chair, kasi actually it's much less around LED. It's more on the capability to build a warehouse of the size that we were needing. We did not see local capability to
Okay,
do that.
Mr. Yakosalem, the Swellig Pharma also submitted a position paper to do with automating just-in-time supply chains and so on. These do not have anything to do with you, I'm given to understand, because this is the corporate side. Tama ba?
No, actually, Madam Chair, it was me that submitted that. Because this is really
I'm
our
very
business.
confused. Okay, so you said there should be central oversight and coordination for medical goods and services. Lumipat naman tayo sa building, doon na mismo sa pharma. Meron kang sinasabi na central oversight and coordination for the medical goods?
Yes, so maybe I utilize the COVID-19 vaccination as an example, Madam Chair, where we believe under DOH, the management of the issuance, for example, of the vaccines, not only the procurement, but then also all the way to the vaccine administration, really needs to have oversight at central level. No, today. It's
Senator
a bit.
Binay, I hope you got a copy of the letter. I'm launching into the second page, but you're quite right. Ms. Jacosalem said there are many things we can do to expedite from the side of pharma, including the oversight, accelerating access to medicine and treatments, and then the lack of IT with the DOH. Alam na natin yun, nakakaiyak na siya. And so on and so forth. Ms. Yacosalem, if you can run us through the highlights. Sorry, Senator Binay.
Before sumagot si Ms. Jacusalem, are you providing service to DOH when it comes to the COVID vaccine?
As of to date po, the services, the logistics service that Zulig Pharma is providing for the vaccines is directly through the manufacturer. So, for example po, yung Moderna vaccines na contract na, actually the procurement contracts have already been finalized and signed. It's Moderna that contracted Zulig Pharma to do the local logistics in the Philippines. For AstraZeneca naman po, the private sector na bumili nung bakuna via tripartite made the decision to utilize the logistics service of Zulig Pharma. So for these two vaccines, DOH will not be doing the logistics anymore because it's already been paid for by either the manufacturer or those that procured.
Okay. So technically, wala kayong DOH contract.
Wala ho kaming DOH contract, yes.
Okay, thank you. In fact,
Yes,
I think yung position paper niya, Sen Aimee, would be similar or the same when you were a resource person dun sa COVID-19 hearing na Committee of the Whole, right?
Yes, you're very smart. Senator, that's correct. Yes, it's
And I
very
guess
similar.
it's still the same scenario. So walang nagbago. Walang nagbago, kumbaga.
We actually added the perspective, Senator, around really building the healthcare program to support the economic growth plan of the government, because I think everybody also has been in agreement that we really need to system and allow Filipinos better access to healthcare, medicines, and treatments. And as pointed out, information technology today is important across all areas. In fact, not only in healthcare, but I think really also in our procurement. Today, how we do our procurement needs to be streamlined and needs to be supported digitally, not only on the bidding process, but when we're already engaging with the government, when you're doing the service or when you're doing delivering the goods, it's still mainly paper-based. And we think that by digitizing, you make it more efficient, you make it less expensive, and at the same time, you actually are able to implement stronger controls on the whole process.
Totally agree. And I mean, kasi diba,
Finally,
hanggang ngayon, Sen Aimee, pag nag-audit yung COA, lagi may, di ba, may about to expire na medicine dun sa bodega ng DOH. So talagang may problema tayo when it comes dun sa management ng ating mga gamot or medical supplies.
Yes, tama ho yun.
Voila, we're still stuck between a rock and a hard place. That's right. So, Mr. Kusalem, perhaps you have some additional comments to the position paper that you'd like to highlight.
Also, I would just like to reiterate the position sana of the Pharma Association. I think they were here in one of your hearings. Yes. In terms of encouraging innovation and entry of medicines into the country, the way it's currently being handled, where there's a lot of price controls, really is a disincentive for innovative medicines to come to the country.
Is it the price controls or excessive regulation and delay on the part of the FDA? Because parang yun ang sinasabi ni Mr. Ted Erbosa nung pumunta rito representing pharma. It's more of the barriers to entry than simply the price control. Although the price control is like a big part of it.
Yes, that's right. That's correct. We agree with that.
Okay, thank you very much. We have now reached lunchtime, but we still have several resource persons, if you'll allow us. Thank you very much, Mr. Yakusalem. We're very, very grateful. So You're a prime example of a sustainable company indeed. I'd like to call on the Philippine retailers and SM Supermalls to highlight the experience of another exceedingly hard hit industry, and that is retail. Who would like to go first? And then lastly, being that like me, we represent the sin industries, thereafter we shall call on Miss Olivia Limpeao, proving that in fact we're not necessarily sinful. So, sinong mauna? SM ba o yung Philippine retailers?
Madam Chair, if I may we go first as we can provide the overall context, which I think
Sige,
the retailers association will build on.
Okay, that's Mr. Gino Borromeo, is that correct?
Yes, correct, Madam Chair. Good morning, Madam Chair,
Yes.
honorable senators and distinguished guests.
Yes.
So as you know, malls are a good lens and barometer as to the state of the retail industry. It's no secret that the industry is challenged. And so what I'd like to do today on behalf of SM Supermalls is give you all an updated snapshot on just how challenged the industry is from 2 points of view. The first point of view is from SMEs and our tenant partners' point of view. The other is from employment. Okay. So let's talk first about the SMEs and our tenant partners. Let me begin by saying that MSMEs are a very important pillar of the economy. They account for 99.5% of all businesses in the Philippines. And in fact, 46% of those businesses are actually retail. For SM Supermalls alone, if you look at our base of tenant partners, about 70% of them are actually MSMEs. In totality, if you count not just the tenant partners, but also the suppliers that we work with and that our tenants work with, we work with about 25,000 SMEs. So any impact on our business obviously impacts the SMEs. Now, since the start of the pandemic, the impact on our tenants has been very immense. So just to share with you, as of end of April, our tenant partners are doing on the average anywhere between 50 to 55% of their pre-pandemic sales levels. So they've obviously lost a lot of business because of the pandemic. In peso terms, our tenant partners are losing an average of about 13.4 billion in peso sales every month. That's 13.4 billion, and that's just their sales. That's not our revenues. So that is a lot of money, and ultimately a lot of revenue for the national government. The weakness in sales has also affected the viability of many tenant businesses. So as of end of April, we have an estimated 2,700 stores that have already closed since the start of the pandemic. Okay? The root cause of the business challenges is really the decline in foot traffic. And the decline in foot traffic has been significant and can be traced to a combination of factors. First is a certain amount of it comes from consumer confidence. So if people don't feel assured and safe that they can go out, they will obviously not want to go to the mall. The second factor that's pulling down foot traffic is public transport capacity and the ability to move around. So if there's no public transport, people are hard-pressed to go to the malls. We estimate that about a quarter to 1/3 of our foot traffic is directly coming from public transport. Right? The final factor, which is also pulling down foot traffic, is the incomes of people, which have been affected since the start of the pandemic. So as a result of this climate, our tenant partners have been quite challenged, and we've been working with them since the start of the pandemic very closely to figure out ways where we can keep the foot traffic going and keep their business transactions going as well. The second part of the challenges that the pandemic has put on retail is the impact on employment. So looking at the number of people whose jobs depend directly on our tenant partners and the suppliers that service them, we estimate that there are about 739,000 workers who are employed by tenants and their suppliers. Okay. What we observed since the start of the pandemic period has, because of the reduced level of business and transactions, our tenant partners are doing one of two things. One, they're either reducing their manpower by about half so that they can sustain their operations. So that means lost jobs totally for the people who were let go. The other way they're coping is that they will have everybody report, but they will rotate their staff so that everybody has a chance to work and a chance to continue employment. The downside of that, however, is that significantly reduced incomes for everybody working on the tenant's business. So if you multiply that by a few 100,000 people, you can imagine that the impact on the economy is immense. So just to close, if we were asked what could be done moving forward, we think there are three areas that might be worth focusing on. The first area, as alluded already earlier, is if we could somehow safely increase the capacity for public transport, because with increased mobility comes the increased likelihood of foot traffic going to the malls and to tenant stores. The second area that we may want to focus
Yes,
on.
we hear you. We hear you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Second.
The second area is, broadly speaking, the area of consumer confidence. And here, what will really help is assurances that people are safe to go out. I know earlier Mr. Eric Teng talked about the Bakuna badge.
Yes.
On our side, we are fully supporting the DOH, DTI, and LGU move to have a safety seal. So earlier this was talked about, where there's a seal that basically says that this outlet, this establishment complies with all safety protocols. So measures like that will help ease the confidence of the public to go out and go back to the malls. Finally, we think there's an opportunity to follow measures that revive what we describe as the night economy. I think one of the unintended...
What? Sorry, I think...
The night economy, sorry.
Okay.
One of the unintended consequences of the curfews has been people have learned how to stay home and they've forgotten how to stay out after 6. If you go to the malls now, for example, you'll notice that people are rushing to go home as early as 5, and that impacts your dinner crowd, your drinks crowd. And I think because of the 1-year quarantine restrictions, people have in a way forgotten how to go out at night. So if we could help...
I've actually invoked the opposite. And in Ilocos Norte, we're doing the opposite. We're lengthening business hours as opposed to shortening them to avoid crowding and panic buying. So as much as possible, we're trying to keep everything open 24 hours. Rather than curtailing through curfews. I'm completely puzzled by the notion of curfews in this time.
We are, Madam Chair, and thank you for raising that, because not only is it a safer way to manage crowds, it also helps the extended business hours also give the retailers more opportunity to recoup their business. And so that area, we think, if something could be changed there, would be really beneficial, not just to the malls, but our tenant partners as well. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Perhaps the Philippine retailers would like to bolt in. Maya Sangil or the chairman, Mr. Paul Santos, kanina pa. If Senator Bina has no queries, para sabay-sabay na yung retailers. Mr. Chair, Mr. Paul Santos.
Thank you,
Would you like to add to Gino's presentation, please?
Certainly, Madam Chair. Thank you very much for this opportunity to speak before the committee. Good afternoon to all the members of the committee and the rest of those attending. It goes without saying, Your Honor, that the Philippine retailing industry has been upended since the COVID-19 pandemic was declared about 14 months ago. Notwithstanding that, the COVID-19 pandemic has affected various retail subsectors quite unevenly. There are some like retail, medicine retail, home goods retail, and electronics goods retail were probably the least affected. What I mean to say here is their sales in compared to the previous 2019 may have decreased only by a little bit, or in some instances may have grown. But there are others, and many others, including food service, personal service, entertainment, and similar trades, were severely affected by the lockdown induced by the pandemic because their operations were ordered closed by the government, and even they are still closed, or their capacity to operate was severely curtailed. Moreover, these particular industries.
Yes, that's right, Mr. Santos. The continued closure of the cinemas in the malls has been explained by the film sector previously. And tama kayo, yung entertainment sector talagang hirap na hirap.
Yes, Your Honor. So in this case, these particular trades are still closed today, or if they were allowed to operate, they were subject to more frequent capacity restrictions, especially those involving personal services like salons and spas. No? Saying that, overall movement restrictions within cities and between provinces curtailed trade, especially border control regulations imposed by the different LGUs, acted as choke points during the movement of hampering the movement of goods during the first few months of the lockdown. I've raised this up in various meetings with the government. Probably this is one aspect of local government autonomy that needs to be reviewed in cases of emergency situations like pandemics. I think there should be some sort of legislation that will allow the frictionless movement of goods between provincial borders.
Yes, maraming reklamo dyan yung ating mga truckers, haulers, transport sector, because they are under IATF rules. They had rules from DOH, there were rules from LTFRB, LTO, and then every single border of every single LGU they had to pass. Lahat hindi tumutugma. So marami talagang reklamo dyan. You are not alone po.
Yes. Because I think, Your Honor, because of the nature of the IATF itself, which is merely recommendatory, meaning it is up to the individual LGUs to either accept or decline. Although most of them do.
Yeah, may hinuhuli din dyan. May hinuhuli rin sa mga transgressors.
Yes, Your Honor. So perhaps the Congress and the Senate should re-examine the role of the IATF and give it some more coercive power to compel LGUs to perform as required. Anyway, the prolonged movement restrictions and capacity limitations on businesses forced many manufacturers, distributors, and retailers to rethink their business models. For example, the state of the science of COVID-19 has made retailers rethink their earlier strategies of making their stores smaller, because during in the previous years, due to the effect of the growth of e-commerce, some store operators have decided to shrink their space devoted to customers. I mean, in-store space devoted to customers. No? But with the emerging rules regarding COVID-19 infection and the science about the matter, it may turn out that a larger in-store space may be required after all because of physical distancing requirements. So the science here is still in flux. So previously, retailers prior to the pandemic may have planned to shrink their store spaces, but because of the flux in science now of findings, they may have to rethink this particular aspect of their operations to shrink or not. So that is still up in the air. So what have retailers done to help mitigate or to overcome the effects of COVID-19? A lot of retailers have shifted, obviously, to e-commerce. It's become a mode of continuing their business. This is not to say that retailers have adopted e-commerce prior to the pandemic. It's just that the pandemic itself accelerated the adoption, especially those retailers who may have been on the fence regarding e-commerce. So not just for retailers, but for customers as well. Prior to the pandemic, some customers have had confidence issues regarding the reliability and trustworthiness of e-commerce merchants. But because of the need to avoid being infected, among other things, that has forced consumers to adopt it and overcome their earlier reluctance in adopting the same. However, the fortuitous availability of infrastructure to support e-commerce prior to the pandemic, notably the policy of the Bangko Sentral to adopt a cashless payment systems framework that was adopted at least a couple of years before the pandemic to establish the systems we have today. And BSP is committed, my knowledge, BSP is still committed to developing and encouraging more Filipinos to adopt cashless payments. In this case, we have GCash, PayMaya. Of course, prior to the pandemic, we've had the more traditional systems like credit cards. But again, it's been observed before that credit card penetration in the Philippines is more formal, requires more documents. The adoption of less formal cashless payment systems like PayMaya and GCash and their existence prior to the pandemic has helped the acceleration of this aspect of trade.
But like the restaurants, can I ask you, how much e-commerce has been generated relative to previous COVID sales? Kasi sabi nila 20% daw sila or even less for the higher-end experience-themed restaurants.
Sorry, Your Honor, are you referring to
Yeah, di ba sabi mo nga, nag-pivot to e-commerce. Pero yung kinikita sa e-commerce is infinitely less than what was being earned before, or what was being sold before. In the case of the restaurants, they have stated that the restaurant said that a mere 20% for many of the experience-based restaurants was earned. Sa inyo, sa retail, despite the pivot to e-commerce, how many percent of the previous sales did that constitute?
Your Honor, from anecdotal information that I've obtained, I think the percentage is more or less the same, about 20% of overall.
Yeah, about 20%
yes.
of total, right?
That's right. Yes.
But as you said, the impact, the disparity in impact is also tremendous because you have garments and entertainment hemorrhaging badly. Well, entertainment is like nil because of the cinemas remaining closed. Whereas you have home and other areas that are even increasing in sales. Is that correct?
At least, Your Honor, from the anecdotal information we've received, they suffered the least among the various retail subsectors. Going into 2021,
yes.
I think they were working from a lower base in 2020. Some sectors have reported increases over the 2020 first quarter business. But that remains to be seen for the rest of the retail trade as 2021 progresses, Your Honor.
So do you share Gino's request that we push for greater public transport?
Yes, Your Honor, because what I mentioned, what I mentioned earlier, it's the movement restrictions that have curtailed the traffic in all sorts of shopping centers, whether in the mall or outside the mall. Yes.
And also not just foot traffic, but also obviously the movement of goods, no?
Yes, but between people and goods, goods have an easier time to move from place to place. But what I mentioned earlier, the need for frictionless logistics has become more acute because again, one cause of friction is that you have different laws between different LGUs, and again, this is LGU autonomy is cited as one reason why you have different rules for different LGUs. But for emergency situations, I think another set of rules should kick in where these rules could be modified by, say, an organization like the IATF. But
I see.
Again, these are rules these are policy decisions. I think that the Senate and the Congress as a whole should be able to determine.
Okay, Senator Villar, who's a large retailer on their own, is raising her hand.
I just want to ask your opinion about this checkpoint. Yung bang checkpoint nakaka-solve ng ng nakakababa ng infection yan o nakakataas pa yan ng infection? Kasi ang naging policy kasi ng mga police, i-checkpoint nila ang mga borders ba? Yung mga checkpoint nila yung mga kalye tapos nagta-traffic. Di ba pag nag-traffic, lalong maghahawahan yung mga tao, especially the motorcycle. Hindi ko maintindihan yung policy na yun. I don't know if I'm just, my opinion is different. Ikaw, Amy, do you think yung checkpoint will solve yung mapapababa yung infection o makakataas ng infection? Kasi yung ating mga local police, panayan checkpoint eh. Sa movements of goods, sa movement of people, nakakagulo yan eh. Hindi ko makita. Ano?
Magulo talaga po yung checkpoint, tapos iba-iba pa yung protocols ng kada checkpoint, iba-ibang klase ng testing ang required, iba-ibang certification. Nakakahilo talaga.
Pero nakakabawas ba yun ng infection?
Hindi ko nga naman sagot eh. Parang nababawasan yung infection namin dahil sa kalayuan ng Ilocos Norte.
kasi parang sa akin, pag nakikita ko yung mga sasakyan tabi-tabi, nakakabawas ba yun na infection? Kaya palagi ko sinasabi sa chief of police, pag nagta-traffic, go nyo na lahat, lalo tayo mag-i-infection yan, di ba? Ano ba yun? Power play o pagbawas na infection? I mean, I cannot understand that. I cannot understand the checkpoint. Nakakabawas ba yun na infection? O nakakagulo?
Nahaharang ba yung infection ng checkpoint?
Yun nga eh. Ba't nag-checkpoint? I mean, it's I guess it's yung sinasabi nila na ibang-ibang local government, iba-iba ang policy, may mahigpit, may hindi. Like kami sa Las Piñas, pag nag-checkpoint yung chief of police namin, mapapagalitan yun. Pero yung kapitbahay namin sa Bacoor, panay ang checkpoint. So, I just, tama yung sinasabi nila that there should be some sort of control naman tungkol sa mga ganyang policies, di ba?
That's right. Kasi ang gulo-gulo, miski sa national government, hindi nagkakatugma. Tapos, kada isa pa ng LGU, talaga mahihilo ka.
Talaga. I guess we have to, mag-position paper naman tayo dyan kasi nakakaawa naman yung mga tao. Di ba? Wala na nga masak yan, i-checkpoint pa.
Kaya nga, and both Gino and Mr. Santos made mention of the shift in retail, not only in shrinking retail space, that was the previous, and then now it has to be expanded because of all the health protocols. So many behaviors have changed, and everybody is now, we now have to have bulk storage, wala nang just-in-time supply chains. Saan naman kukuha yung retailer ng kapital para dyan? Wala rin siyang paglalagyan. And then the consumer is the same way. So things have changed so much. And then there's all the compulsion to go digital and have direct face-to-face with the consumer as it were electronically. Pero gastos din yan, di ba? Yung shift to digital, pera din yan. Where are retailers supposed to get the financing for all of this? Like you said, it's all MSMEs nga.
Oh, yeah.
Paano sila, yung mga buhay pa, yung hindi pa nagsasara, paano sila nabubuhay, umuutang? Saan sila kumukuha ng...
Ako nga, awang-awa na doon sa mga small restaurants eh. Yung hindi naman sila yung chain, yung mga... Yes. Bawat isa, may isang restaurant. Awang-awa na ako sa kanila. In-interview ko nga sila. And then yung mga children ko, yun ang sideline nila. Awang-awa na rin ako eh. Kasi bagsak na bagsak ang 20. Di ba?
Ginagawa ng mga retailers with all the challenges that they face. How are they capitalizing? I'm really mystified.
Parang ang attitude nila is, I mean, from my interview, parang nanghahang on sila hoping for a recovery. Parang, kung isara mo naman, di tapo na lahat ng investment mo. So, they're hanging on para kahit ngayon medyo walang kita, medyo lugi, pero at least they're looking forward to the recovery para parang yun ang kanilang future. Oo. So, the recovery should come earlier. Oo.
Mr. Santos, how are your members coping and financing these efforts in yun nga, bigger retail space, digital, all this stuff? Nangungutang ba sila? Nagbebenta ba o nagsasara na lang yung iba nga?
Madam Chair?
Yes,
Yeah.
Senator Nancy.
Yeah, siguro just to add dun sa tanong mo, and siguro, are they familiar with yung mga nilagay nating tulong sa bayanihan too? For example, yung pwede silang umutang sa SB Corp. Familiar ba yung mga, lalong-lalo na yung mga small retailers natin dun sa ganong assistance na nilagay natin sa bayanihan? Or
Parang ayaw na nila anansing umutang kasi additional responsibility at a time like this, di ba? Parang doon nga sa present utang nila, hindi na nila kaya. Paano pa sila magbabayad ng future utang?
Or even yung sa DOLE na, di ba, nagbibigay ng ayuda dun sa mga nawalan ng trabaho.
Yun, unemployment.
Failure naman ho, or may mga members ba kayo na naka-avail ng ganitong tulong? Yun lang, Madam Chair.
Tanungin natin sila kung will it matter.
Diba? May bayanihan 3 na pinag-uusapan.
Ano ba magagawa namin para makatulong? Parang napakahirap naman ng sitwasyon. Yes, Mr. Santos, please.
Your Honor, thank you. I think the loan provisions in Bayanihan 2, I think ano po ito, I think a lot of retailers are aware of this. It's just that the amounts, kasi for example, in our case, we represent medium scale and large scale retailers as well, and in their case, no, yung maximum loan ceilings that SB Corp can give out may not be sufficient to meet their particular
nga, ang baba, 50,000 lang eh.
Pang small and micro, pang micro.
So, in response to your earlier question, Your Honor, I think for many retailers, and not just for us, but for other businesses as well, the first priority of the day after the lockdown was declared last year was cash flow preservation.
Yeah.
Nawalan po ng cash flow and that's the lifeblood of business. So what have businesses done, like nabanggit ni Mr. Borromeo kanina po, again in line with government rules, they've limited the number of employees at work in their premises, or in the most extreme cases, they have laid off people altogether.
Yeah.
Yes. Mr. Borromeo has also mentioned that a number of their tenants have closed shop. That's also what our members have done, mga unprofitable locations, or those locations that were marginal even before the pandemic but were being sustained just to maintain the presence in a certain locality. Sinara na rin po kasi talagang it's you need to survive, no?
Mr. Santos, from experience sa amin, yung before the pandemic, naghihingalo na, nalugi na yon, nagsara na yon. Ang survive lang after pandemic, yung making money before the pandemic. Pero yung mga not making money before the pandemic, close yun.
Natuluyan na.
Natuluyan na yun. Oo. Halatang-halata yung mahihina nung before the pandemic, natuluyan na. Ang natira na lang yung profitable before the pandemic, sino-survive nila. Di ba, Mr. Santos? Ganun na.
Right. Tapos, what has also helped a lot of retailers, especially those located in shopping centers, is the discounts that were extended by our
landlords. Yes.
No, that has gone a long way to conserve cash flow, and in many instances, this discount has been extended even today. So that has helped.
Kasi naman ang thinking ng landlord, pag umalis kayo, wala na ring income, so mag-discount na lang, di ba? Para pareho lang mag-survive, di ba? Oo. And even this closed ECQ ng March, April, May, nag-discount na naman sila dyan. Kasi bumaba na naman ang benta, di ba?
There are some landlords that have allowed shops to temporarily close in the meantime.
Yeah,
especially in locations that have severe movement restrictions in place, where there are almost no people going into a shopping center because the local authorities have only authorized the operation of essential businesses like food, medicine, but everything else is closed, like apparel, footwear,
Yeah.
appliances. So,
Meron ding mga local government na anti-business di ba? Hindi ko nga maintindihan yun How will they derive income if they are anti-business? Meron ganun Oo.
now, some businesses have attempted to borrow money from the banks, taking advantage of the lower interest rates that have been decreed by the BSP. But on that, on whether or not they've been successful in borrowing money in these rather unusual situations, I don't know. So
Well, apparently, not very many have borrowed money. If you look at the figures of the amounts downloaded, BSP, commercial banks, wala. Bagsak talaga lahat
Parang they do lang yung refinancing, di ba?
Yeah.
Para hindi maging due yung mga loans nila, nire-refinance nila. But why will you acquire additional loan when you're having problem with your existing loans, di ba? Parang ang ano na lang is i-finance yung existing loans para hindi tayo ma-past due, ganun na lang, di ba?
And have you been able to avail of yung mga wage subsidy ng DOLE?
I think, Your Honor, during the early days of the pandemic, some have been able to avail of the wage subsidy from the DOLE, but from the information that I've received, this fund was exhausted quite rapidly. So there
konti kasi
there have been many employees who were not been able to enjoy this benefit.
That's right. It was, the camp, yung camp, magandang project sana yun yung camp. Kaya lang sobrang konti ng pera.
Di ba yon ang mag-a-avail yung employee pag siya parang nag-pay cut or nawala na temporarily nawala ng trabaho, yun doon nag-a-avail. Hindi naman employer yun employees, di ba? Yung sa DOLE? Employees ba yon?
Ang alam ko yung camp, yung employer din ang nagpo-provide ng documentation, di ba?
Oh. Pero para sa employees yun,
Pero diretso sa wage subsidy, go straight to the employees just to keep the shop open, basically.
Yeah.
But the budget was so minuscule. I was actually impressed that the DOLE was able to stretch it that far.
I mean, may nagbibida nga sa akin yung mga waiter. Sabi nila, once a day na lang sila nakain nung nawalan sila ng trabaho because di-lockdown ng mga restaurants, di ba? Sabi nila, once a day daw lang sila kumakain.
Baka mangyari rin sa hearing na ito. Kaya, if there are no further questions sa retail, punta na tayo sa last group. Yes, Nancy.
Siguro, kahit for submission na lang, I don't know if yung grupo nila did the study or even the malls, kung ano yung nakikita nilang retailers na may potential for growth. Cite ko lang example. For example, sabi nila, during this lockdown daw, dumami yung nabentang piano or
household. I think sa household at saka yung mayayaman, hindi man sila affected. Tingin ko yung mga home improvement.
I'd like to take that question, Madam Secretary.
Yes, please.
So we've been reviewing very closely the performance of different tenant categories and individual brands, and the pattern has already emerged. What's selling well, even in the pandemic, are what we would describe as the new essentials. Okay? So these are products and services that people think are essential to live decently, even in a pandemic situation. So, for example, categories like health and wellness have remained very resilient. Okay, so everything from vitamins to supplements to gym equipment, all doing well. Home improvement is another category that's also doing quite well. I don't know if you're aware of this Facebook group called Home Buddies.
Yes.
It's grown to 2 million members, and we get a direct effect every time on our sales whenever they feature a product. So home improvement is very hot. What we call athleisure and functional fashion, so everything from sneakers to track pants, all doing well. Finally, all kinds of gadgets are doing well. Everything from laptops, tablets, gaming, all doing well because people are spending more time at home. We think the trend of new essentials is going to continue. So the trick now for retailers and even mall operators is to identify what are those products and categories that are going to be new essentials for people.
Ano naman yung the opposite side of that? Yung
I
Wala
think,
na.
yung garment na pang-party, wala kasing party. So yung mga fashionable garments, wala na.
Fashion, mga barong, gown,
Wala.
mga big events na mahihirapan.
Wala. Yung mga fashionable clothes, wala na yun. Saan gagamitin? Diba?
Everybody wants to go to work in sneakers tsaka lounge.
Hindi, nakakatuwa nga yung mga picture ng New York, nung nagbukas yung New York, naka-ball gown yung mga babae pumunta sa park, naka-sneakers, kasi hindi daw nila nasuot ng 14 months. Wala silang pakialam. Naka-fur, naka-long gown, fully beaded, araw na araw. Wala nang pake.
O, di ba yung fashion, wala na yun kasi walang parties, di ba?
Ibang fashion naman, sangkatutak na athleisure.
Oo. Pambahay. Di ba? Tayo lang, tinan mo, mga damit natin ngayon, wala na, di ba? We don't go to the Senate, di ba? And one question nga, bakit hindi payagan yung more than 65? Ba't yung mga senators natin, mga more than 65, nakakapunta sa Senate?
Okay, if there's no more questions for retail, last but not
Madam Chairman, I'm sorry. This is Attorney Ryan Sanwan from SM Supermalls. With your permission po.
Yes,
yes.
Yes, you're
Yes.
recognized, Attorney San Juan.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Madam Chairman, kanina ho, nasabi na rin natin na ang naging mahirap po para doon sa industriya at sektor namin since March 2020, tuloy-tuloy ho yung trabaho namin because we had the obligation or the moral obligation to make sure that all essentials are available to communities. So yung mga economic frontliners po namin, sila ho yung simula noon, araw-araw nagtatrabaho, magpasa hanggang ngayon. No?
Kaya nga, dapat
aside from that,
yan eh.
kailangan din ho namin tulungan yung mga tenants namin. Opo. Tapos so yung mga tenants namin, sinabi na rin ho nila kanina na we gave all sorts of rental reprieves, and holidays sa kanila ho. Para lang ho, hindi sila magsara. Aside from that, nasabi nyo rin ho kanina, we've had to renovate, retrofit, come up with all sorts of innovations para lang to ensure the safety, not just of our customers, but also of our employees as well. And of late, we've entered into many contracts and agreements with local government units as most of our large areas, dahil hindi naman ho nagagamit, ginagawa hong mega vaccination or mega testing centers.
Yes, I'm aware that SM actually was way ahead of the DOH importing direct from China the PPEs very early on in the pandemic.
Opo. Kasama po yan. Habang nagsisimula pa lang ho, nagbigay rin ho kami, aside from PPEs, mga food donations to many different communities. While all of this was happening, we were being responsible corporate citizens also kasi tuloy-tuloy ho yung pagbayad namin ng taxes, income, real estate, business taxes, lahat po yan. Hindi naman ho sa pagano, pero pag ganito yung nangyayari sa atin, mas umiiral ho sa amin, mas nagiging mas importante yung corporate citizenship. And based on all of that, siguro lang ho ang mahihiling namin if ever hindi naman ho kailangan kasi bukal sa loob naman ho ito. Baka naman ho pwedeng magkaroon ng incentives man lang or like Mr. Teng from the restaurant said earlier, maybe you can give some sort of tax reprieve or holiday, especially dun ho sa mga may ganitong CSR objectives ho at ginagawa. Yun lang ho yung gusto kong idagdag bukod doon sa mga nasabi ng mga kasama.
That's exactly what we're trying to figure out, which incentives would be most effective. From your experience from government efforts in the past, alin yun talagang nakatulong? And also, moving forward, alin ang dapat natin i-legislate na tax incentives, perhaps funds that we can provide because the SB Corp has very limited mileage, as it turns out. And even the interest rates that the BSP has aggressively and continuously brought down have had very little effect in the downloading of additional cash. So we're also at our wits' end, which is why we're calling on all of you to
Salamat
come up with better
po.
ideas.
Maraming
Kasi
salamat,
you're on the
Madam
ground,
Chairman.
you know what works, you know what doesn't.
At tingin ko, Senator Amy, it's more of policies din. Kasi yung policies, walang gasto doon, pero makakatulong sa kanilang sales, di ba? Yung good policies towards business, di ba?
So many of our medium scale and large corporations don't even ask for any additional subsidies, tax breaks, or even ang hinihingi lang yung uniform standards of regulation, yung medyo pare-pareho yung mga LGU, yung mga TFRB, wag makipag-away, that sort of thing. So,
more policies, no?
Libre naman yun eh. Kausapin ka lang.
Oo. Kaya nga, dapat i-detalye nyo para alam namin kung sino kakausapin namin at baka ma-influence namin to change their ways. Ako, talagang yung tawag yan, checkpoint. Ewan ko, personally, inis na inis ako dyan. Tawag ako ng tawag. Ba't ba kayo nag-checkpoint? Di ba noon ang policy is within NCR bubble, walang checkpoint, di ba? And yet, nag-checkpoint ang bawat local government. Bakit ginagawa yun? Sabi nila free flow in the NCR bubble. Hindi ko maintindihan.
To add po to Senator Villar, naging problema rin ho namin yan nung simulang-simula ng lockdown because we have essential employees, essential workers coming from the outskirts of Metro Manila. And, our lawyers have had to come to the defense of these people who had to work every day and yet be stopped at checkpoints. They work long hours and hindi sila makagalaw. So, eventually, nag-isa po. Pero huling-huli na ho, saan ho, matulungan nyo kaming i-endorse na i-prioritize ho yung A4 kasi sila ho talaga yung nakasabak simula March 2020.
Ako talaga, A4. At saka sila dadagsayan kasi ngayon ang problema, although priority ang senior, parang mahinang magpa-inject ang senior eh.
Kaya kung tutuusin, ang ginawa ng Indonesia at Singapore, inuna nila yung essential workers, baliktad yung kanilang policy. So, para tumakbo yung economy, inuna nila. So, I think there's some wisdom to that.
Mag-relabi tayo na buksan na yung A4.
I was very puzzled by the hesitancy to open A4. Dapat inagad-agad na yun eh.
Lalo na kami, katulad namin, may mga kaso kami, sarado ang court eh. So, delayed lahat. Ako nga, pababaksinayan ko na yung mga judges at mga workers para delayed lahat. 1 year nang delayed ang mga
Tama. Senator,
ang bagal na nga, lalo pang bumagal.
Senator Nancy?
Nagsabi na ata sila Secretary Galvez by first week of June.
Sana. Sila naman announce, ayaw pa nila gawin eh.
Nakikinig pa ba?
Kasi syempre, pag ikaw nag-vaccinate ng A4 at nalaman nila, sisiraan ka naman sa media, ganyan-ganyan, di ba?
Kawawa nga si Secretary Galvez eh. Anyway,
at least sa SM, I think yung in-order nyo would be arriving by
Sino? Walang nadating. Lahat kami nag-order, wala namang nadating. May dumating na ba? Wala.
Pa yung quantum.
Wala. Novavax, AstraZeneca. Ang dumadating na AstraZeneca is COVAX, hindi yung in-order ng private sector.
If I may recognize the importer also of Sputnik, si Miss Olivia Limpeao ng Limtuaco Distilleria. Very early on, siyempre, kami yung mga tobacco and alcohol, kami yung mga bad syntaxes. Pero ganun pa man, si Olivia ay nag-convert. I think you converted certain lines producing liquor into 70% alcohol required by the hospitals. Maybe we can hear from Olivia.
Okay.
Yes, thank you very much, Senator Amy, and hello. I'm sure you're all hungry, but so we'll make it quick, no? So, so yun nga, when the pandemic started and the ECQ was announced, we immediately shifted to alcohol, Consumer Protect. We called it Consumer Protect 70%. Disinfectant, sanitizer, alcohol. But actually, even before the ECQ, we already had an, like a feeling that there will be a shortage, no? So we were already studying the possibility of going into that. That's why when it was announced in March of last year, we were able to quickly pivot to that. Of course, with the help of the Department of Trade, Secretary Mon Lopez, who connected me with the Board of Investments, a group of Yusek Peri Rodolfo, who is our BOI managing head, and his team, with ED Executive Director Cory Dichosa and
Olive, quick
Director
question
Eris
na lang.
Sabatan. Yes.
Olive, quick question. Yung mga DTI, wala kaming problema dyan kasi tumutulong talaga. Ang question lang, nag-order ba ang DOH sa'yo?
Ay, hindi.
Okay lang ng PPE, Nancy. Kaloka.
Hindi, pero okay lang sa akin, hindi. Basta
Ang dami
na-supplyan
namang
ko naman
umorder.
yung market.
Oo,
Na-supplyan ko naman. So, actually, I wanted to go. Then after that, I went also into, I wanted to do more. So I thought, what could I do to help pa? So I heard about this yung Lianhua Qingwen na medicine, yung Chinese medicine.
Oo,
diba?
ikaw una nag-import ng Lianhua.
So, since wala naman ako masyadong ginagawa at height of the ECQ, sabi ko, bakit hindi ko na lang aralin, so, I used our trading company and I applied for the Certificate of Product Registration with the FDA. So, it took me like more than 3 months to do it, pero it's the first traditional Chinese medicine that was registered with the FDA. And nakatulong siya na malaki naman, no? Although in the beginning, it was PDEA, it was under PDEA, and we're able to get it delisted from PDEA after proving that it didn't contain ephedrine.
Yeah,
Yes.
malaking tulong kay Bongbong yan eh. Ginamit niya agad.
Yeah, so again, that was another shift kasi parang wala talagang anong gagawin mo, 'di ba? Hindi naman.
Pero sabi mo, Olive, na wala ka namang ginagawa. Wala bang benta ang White Horse?
White Castle.
White Castle.
Hindi kasi syempre pag lockdown, liquor ban. So touch and go kami. Every time may lockdown, may liquor ban. So anong gagawin namin?
Alcohol na lang.
Oo. So kaya
alcohol na lang, alcohol.
Kaya ginamit namin yung whiskey bottles namin. Parang whatever we had, we just had to like put it together and quickly, parang supply the market. Kasi wala. So that bottle was supplied to Mercury Drug kasi walang-wala talaga eh. So, I think it's then after that, I went to the EU, yung Sputnik V, I registered applied for the registration of the EUA. Pero I want sana to point out that tama-tama talaga yung sinabi ni Senator Villar that actually, ang kailangan talaga ngayon is really policies because I think we have enough laws. We have enough laws and what we really need is to have more change in policy because we need
friendly policies. Friendly policies.
Yes.
Business
Parang
friendly.
we have to restructure, I think, our bureaucracy, Parang, kasi ang ginawa ko noon, yung nag-apply ako mismo nag-apply. Wala kami masyadong tao noon, di makapasok eh. So, ang ginawa ko, I studied the laws.
Buti hindi ka nagkaroon ng COVID, kalalakad.
Hindi pa sa office lang naman eh. Mag-isa lang ako sa office ko. Binasa ko yung mga laws, yung mga regulations. If you don't mind lang, I'll share what I discovered doing it myself. Kasi normally, ang companies, you assign it to your compliance department. But since wala kami masyadong tao, ako na lang gumawa, di ba? So, inaral ko yung mga FDA circulars, regulations, lahat. And first, what I discovered, kasi parang we have to go through so many regulations that were crafted and released during different administrations. And so the intent of those circulars, diba, are different with every regime.
And then, nagko-conflict na minsan, di ba?
Nagko-conflict na. Oo, parang hindi mo na alam. So, kung hindi mo na alam, susundin mo. Tapos pag
they're outdated and then they're conflicting pa.
Correct. So, parang even if you think this is your interpretation when you write to the FDA, iba pala ibig nila sabihin. So, I think there is really a need to study it, di ba? Parang instead of saying this supersedes or you keep on adding, I think you have to unify it eh. You have to unify it. So
That's right.
the FDA and the applicant truly understands what is asked of them by the FDA. Kasi as also mentioned by Gino, diba? Gino Borromeo, he said that the next after this pandemic is the rise of the new essentials, and that would be the opportunity of businesses. But if we don't understand each other, how can we even come up with products under the new essentials? Because we will have to go to the FDA. So I think we have to really review. And as mentioned by Senator Villar, policies don't really require money. It's just effort. The people are there to study it. We have all the lawyers, we have all the bureaucrats, we have all the people to do it. It doesn't really cost us much more, no? Except maybe in terms of training, but now with Zoom, with WebEx, di ba? Hindi na tayo kailangan ng venue. Cheap na rin ang training. Di ba? We just need our resource people to teach. We can get people to attend. Parang the new normal also is less
Buti nga,
costly, no?
ikaw 3 months. Yung iba na nagsasabi sa akin na kumukuha sa FDA sa food, 5 years daw.
Correct. Totoo po yun. Now, we have the
Kaya sabi ko,
ARTA.
hiwalay na yata yung drug sa food para hindi ganun kahaba. Baka overloaded eh.
Pero ibang department po yung food sa drugs. Kaya lang,
Sila
Ganon.
konti lang sila eh.
kukonti po sila, totoo yun. Kasi nung,
Konti nila eh.
correct, siguro yun
Can you
ang kailangan
imagine
natin.
if you discover a certain kind of food na gusto mong dalhin sa supermarket, kung 5 taon bago mabigyan ng permit, na-outdated na yung food bago mabigyan ng permit,
Correct.
di ba?
Tama po yun. Kaya lang po, ang nangyari sa food, siguro sa tingin ko rin po, kulang talaga ng taong FDA.
Di sana
Kulang
sinabi
talaga.
nila sa amin, di ba?
Wala naman silang hinihingi kahit kailan.
Ganun ba? Pero tingin ko lang
I can see them operating. They're all banging to each other. They're very few. And then they're not really qualified personnel in many cases.
Yes, that one is where we need money for.
Pinakamarami ang complaint sa FDA di ba? Kasi diyan ang pag-permit so you can sell sa sa mga legitimate na tindahan. Ang tagal.
Correct po. So, I think yan yung magbo-boost ng economy natin. If we can just fix it, di ba? Ako naman, I'm willing to be a resource person. Having gone through it myself, kaya kong sabihin sa inyo kung saan yung problema, di ba? So, yun nga, kulang ng tao. Tapos, as you said din po, sabi ni Senator Amy, kulang din po ng training, no? Kasi kung hindi niya talaga na truly na understand yung what is also asked, baka hingi siya ng kung ano-ano, di ba? Parang let's just cut the story, di ba? Make it a shorter story than a long story, paikot-ikot tayo. So, I think training of personnel. And then, of course, after you train you have enough people, you trained your personnel, then you also have to train the applicants. You have to tell us what you want from us so that we know what to do, di ba? Kasi parang baka we're wasting also.
May checklist.
Yes.
Di ba? You just follow the checklist, di ba? Hindi ka dapat nag-aral, dapat may checklist na lang sila at susundin mo na lang yun.
Yung importation ng 4 na federations ng Chinese-Filipino, nagkagulo-gulo kasi papalit-palit daw yung checklist at ayaw ibigay yung final with the requirements, di ba?
Kasi po kahit may checklist,
may dagdag.
Pwede pa silang humingi ng additional.
Kaya nga checklist yun, you just follow the checklist, di ba? Meron ba naman may checklist tapos hihingi ka pa ng dagdag? Kaya nga nilista na yun eh.
Nakalagay po doon sa circular na kahit na kung sa tingin nila kailangan silang humingi ng more, hihingi sila. Kaya nga parang I feel, parang dapat sabihin mo na kung ano ba talaga ang gusto mo. Para,
kung ayaw mo magbigay, di ba?
Oo. Kung
mo na sayangin ang oras namin kung ayaw mo magbigay, di ba?
Correct. Parang both ways. We don't waste the time of FDA kasi nga kukulang din sila sa tao. We also don't waste the time of the applicant kasi they should spend their time completing the requirements rather than going back and forth.
We understand you. So, we understand.
Yes po. So yung po yung, and then of course, although may ARTA tayo.
Mag-apply October, tapos maya may dagdag na requirement, di ba? Hanggang finally February yata sa wakas kasi may nag-interview.
Buti nga siya, ilang buwan lang. Yung ibang sinasabi sa akin, 5 taon eh.
Grabe.
kasi po ako mismong gumawa na, nagkulit-kulit din
Oo,
ako talaga.
baka
Pumapasok
ikaw
ako.
ang, oo, kasi ako pag matagal sila, ako na mismo pumupunta.
Sinugod na.
Sinusugod na. Sobra tagal Kaya sinusugod na.
Kaya tapos po naman, doon naman meron naman tayong anti-red tape na law, napakaganda, 'di ba, na law, pero sa implementation, I think
Dadaan pa rin sa korte. Dadaan
Oo,
sa korte. Anything na dumaan sa court, matagal.
Yes po. At saka, I found out na they also have a way to go around it. So, di ba pa sa ARTA, dapat pag nag-file ka ng something within how many days, the agency should be able to respond. So, ang way around naman is, hindi nila tatanggapin muna. Sasabihin nila sa'yo na, kulang yan. So, pag hindi tinanggap, hindi papatak ang metro, di ba? So, parang ganun yung style na yun.
Would you believe, nagdemanda ako sa ARTA. Dahil may isang barangay captain na nag-a-apply kami, nadadaan yung drainage system sa creek. Ayaw pumayag. Saan kaya dadalhin ang drainage system? Sa kabilang lote. Di ba kaya may creek, doon mo dadalhin ang drainage system mo? Ayaw pumayag dahil madumi daw yung tubig. Saan mo dadalhin? At saka, ang tubig na yun, rainwater, bakit ayaw niya? Hindi naman yun, hindi naman yung galing sa may sarili may sarili yung mga toilet, di ba? May sariling, yon septic tank. Ganun kagrabe. Barangay captain lang yon. Kausap na senador, ganun pa katigas ang ulo. Can you believe that? Can you believe that? In the Philippines, it's only in the Philippines.
Yung nga po, kaya kailangan po natin talaga ng change ng culture. Diba?
Yeah.
System change, a change of mindset in the bureaucracy, diba? So that we can facilitate, kasi trade facilitation talaga ang kailangan natin Hindi naman lagi.
Sabi ko, it's more of policies than pera, di ba? Kung magaganda ang implementation ng policies, hindi naman nila kailangan ng pera Marurunong na negosyante yan. Alam niya where they will make money.
Yung medium and large scale so far can stand on their own, tiis-tiisan na lang at yung policy na lang. Yung mga MS, yung micro and small, talagang hirap. Yun talaga kailangan ng tulong.
At saka, ang problema ng micro and small, miski ka gumawa ng programa, kung hindi naman naiintindihan yung programa kasi sila yung mga hindi masyadong educated at hindi i-explain ng gobyerno, wala rin mangyayari doon.
Totoo.
Yun po, totoo yun. Kasi yun nga dapat nagkakaintindihan na ito dapat mo gawin, naiintindihan niya kung ano dapat niya gawin at kaya niyang gawin, di ba? Kasi kahit na alam ko, hindi ko naman kaya, wala rin mangyayari. Pero we have to
for example, yung
everybody.
SB Corp, nakakatawa nga yung SB Corp kasi 50,000 yung basic loan. Dapat yung maliliit na, small stores and also mga hostel at saka yung mga kapihan, sari-sari store. Kaso, hindi sila qualified. In the first place, boxed out na sila ang qualification, may national registry ka. Hindi naman nagre-register sa national.
Mali yun.
Mali ka agad.
Oo. Dapat, para nila i-register nila. Para matutong mag-register. Tapos pautangin nila.
Pa yung economy.
Oo. Pero i-require mo na, let's say, 3 years or 1 year. Hindi nga marunong ng ganun yun Tsaka, maloloka ako sa kanila.
Mahirap nga po. Nakakaloka nga po talaga. Kaya nga, tapos
di ba nakakaloka? Diba?
So, nakakaloka talaga mag-negosyo.
Olive, aside from
nakakaloka.
Olive, aside from yun nga, yung mga policy confusion and outdatedness, at saka yung failure to implement ARTA effectively, anong masasuggest mo pa sa atin in order to jumpstart the economy? Obviously, yung vaccine rollout is what we're all hanging on to. And you've contributed with your effort to import Sputnik. Any further ideas or suggestions?
Yes po. And then I'll still go back to that bureaucracy thing, Kasi, sorry talaga. I think it's really so important.
No, we understand you. It's so funny. Magbida ka para akala nila kami lang yan
Hindi po, meron pa isa pa. Kasi one of the things na I heard no, in dealing with many government offices, kasi syempre we're in the liquor industry, we're also highly regulated industry and also in the drugs and all that. One of the reasons why they're so conservative and they don't, parang you have a feeling na parang they're to tell you why you can't do it. So parang hindi ma-approve. Parang ganun ang feeling mo. Kasi ang explanation naman ng iba is because, di ba, like in the FDA, because of that Vaxia, marami silang nawalan sila ng tao sa CDRR, sa drugs, yung mga evaluators nila. At the same time, yung nawalan, yung nakasuhan sila, wala daw din legal assistance na na-provide sa kanila. So if you're part of the approval process, hindi sila nasuportahan in terms of legal assistance. So you are on your own. So with that kind of system, then parang they feel, kung di mo pala ako susuportahan, I'll do what I think
No
is safe
risk.
for me.
Oh,
No risk,
no
correct.
risk. Oh, no risk.
So that's, I would say, why we are also in this situation. Parang I also put myself in their shoes, no? Siguro nga, because of that, parang that's why they tend to be super ultra conservative, di ba?
Reality in government, pag nakakaso ka, you're on your own. Wala naman tayong talagang sinasabi na tutulungan ka na. I mean, may legislation bang ganon? Na pag nakakaso ka, tutulungan ka ng gobyerno? Parang wala, no?
Parang wala.
Kasi minsan, ang feeling nila, kaya nagkakakaso, corrupt.
Parang pulis lang at sundalo nagkakaroon ng legal aid. Parang
Walang
yun, wala
ganon.
akong
But
narinig.
I think maybe that is also something. Kasi like, kunyari, if the decision that you made is in the line of duty, it's not related to corruption. I think the organization is duty bound to also help you, di ba? If in the line of duty you approve something and somebody who is a disgruntled applicant
Baka yan, legislation yan. Di ba?
Maybe, oo.
Baka legislation
Provide
yan.
legal assistance for everyone in the line of approval. Kawawa.
Oo.
Kasi meron naman tayong OSG, di ba sila pwedeng itap? Meron naman tayong agencies with all these. Oo. Di ba maybe it won't cost that much naman, di ba? It will give more training pa to our lawyers, our government lawyers, di ba? They'll be
Pero
busy.
alam ko walang ganyan.
Wala,
Pag nakakaso ka, you take care of yourself. Di ba ganon? Di ba?
Oo, bahala ka sa buhay mo, type.
Oo. Kaya siguro baka that's something, baka I'm just
But I think in
thinking.
addition to that, I think you rightly point out that there is an attitude of prohibition rather than allowance. Parang sadyang hinihigpitan eh. Imbes na magpapasok ng mga innovative drugs, magpapasok ng makabagong treatment, parang may attitude na pagbawalan.
So siguro baka maybe you can study it, maybe it's something that we could do so that they will not be afraid, 'di ba, to approve. Rather than prohibition, 'di ba, allowance, 'di ba? Kasi we really need that a change in that mindset and attitude kasi or else we will get stuck in this rut, 'di ba?
That's right.
Like for example,
excuse my friend.
Like for example, my own experience, pag may project ako, parang ayaw nila gawin dahil daw bawal sa COA. Kausapin mo naman ng COA, hindi daw bawal yun. So, sabi niya, ginagawa lang ako reason, hindi bawal yan. Sasabihin naman ng COA sa'yo. So, it's so hard. It's so hard. Kailangan magka-come in between ka. Otherwise, hindi mai-implement ang project mo.
Excuse my French, pero di ba sa Amerika ang tawag dyan, CYA? Lahat ng gobyerno daw, cover your ass. Yun daw ang primary compelling motivation ng lahat ng bureaucrat.
Oo. Tapos naririnig ko pa sasabihin na, for instance, in order ng secretary ng department, pwede naman sabihin nung nasa middle level na, and actually narinig ko na nasabi yun many times, sila sa next administration, wala na sila. Kami nandito pa rin. Kung may problema, kami naman nasasagot, hindi naman sila kasi they are, di ba, co-terminus with the administration.
With the president.
With the president. Yes. So I think really baka there's something we can do about it. Maybe tama kayo, Madam Chair and Senator Villar, maybe it requires legislation. But really, parang I really don't know. Pero I think if we don't do something, even if we want to help ourselves and help the government, parang we ourselves are the one tying our hands for us to
Oo.
do so, no? And I think at this point, we really need to work together and support each other so that our economy can get back on track, no? Kasi maybe during regular times, okay lang yan. Pero during this time, hindi na siya okay eh. Kasi hindi talaga tayo makakaahon.
Hindi tayo
pag hindi
okay
natin
talaga,
finish.
di ba? Marami
Hindi
tayong
tayo
problema.
okay.
Mm.
Oo, hindi tayo
Tama.
okay. Hindi naman lahat ng tao na, lalo na as you said, pag SME, hindi naman niya kakayanin na daanan yung dinadaanan ng malalaking kumpanya kasi sila may abogado, may, di ba? May mga technocrats, bureaucrats, whatever. Eh, syempre kung ikaw yung negosyante na mag-isa, paano mo gagawin lahat yun? Ni wala kang mga oras para basahin lahat ng regulasyon na yun, no?
Tsaka hindi mo rin maintindihan. Like ako, pag about law, I ask the lawyers kasi hindi mo naman ma-interpret ang law kung iba naman ang linya mo. Kung tatanungin mo ako sa business management, yun ang linya ko. Pero yung law, how do you interpret the law? Mahirap yun. Diba?
So,
Born out of experience yun eh, diba? Yung interpretation of the law, diba?
Yes, yes. So yun yung I think na in a nutshell, parang I think
Malaking
what we
nutshell
can probably do.
Yung overhaul
Malaking
ng
nutshell.
bureaucracy.
Malaking nutshell.
Thank you very much.
To make you feel better, hindi lang kayong private sector ang dumadaan dyan, pati kami. Oo. Pati kami, even our projects in government. My God, maloloka ka. Oo.
Oo nga.
Maloloka ka. Pag hindi ka naglakad sa sarili mo, walang mangyayari. Ang dami-daming prohibition.
Oo nga. So, paano nga po natin gagawin na hindi na tayo
We'll
nasa
try.
era of
We'll just have to
prohibition,
keep on
diba?
trying. We just have to keep on trying to improve.
So maybe the structural so maybe the structural defects can be corrected, diba?
Yeah.
Structural defect na tawag ko doon.
You're so thankful, Okay, thank you so much. And thank you very much to Senator Villar who stuck it out with us until...
No, I'm interested kasi ano ba problema ng business from different point of view. Diba? Very interesting, diba? Very
interesting po and very kawawa at the same time. So we need to do something for all of you, and I think we've enlisted the help of Senator Villar, Senator Binay, Senator Tolentino, and many of those who are allied with us in the Senate, and even those across the fence have manifested their desire to jumpstart our economy, which seems to be turning into a bigger disaster than this COVID. Talagang terrible ito nangyayari sa atin. So, kapit-bisig nga, hawak kamay, sabi nga ni Olive at sina Gino. Magtulungan tayo, and let me simply say that I've taken as many notes as I can. However, if there are areas that we haven't covered and you wish to add to your position papers already submitted, feel free to send them to me as soon as possible so that we can make a coherent recommendation. Papasok din kami sa budget eh. Kaya malamang pag-uusapan na naman ito, and with your feedback, you'll be able to make a more informed answer. So thank you very much to all for your patience, your endurance, and your hunger.
Senator, excuse me, meron pa tayong isang guest.
Ala!
Si Mr. J. Santisteban.
Ay, nako, ang contact center BPO. Nakalimutan ko din dyan. Akala ko kasi hinahanap ko sina Jojo si J pala. Okay, one more. Yeah, we better pay attention to you. You're one of the good news bears.
Good afternoon, Senator. On behalf of our association president, Mr. Jojo Uligan, who is indisposed right now, he's actually in the US, so he's in the West Coast. So allow me to read lang a simple statement, and of course, greetings to our Honorable Senator Binay and Senator Villar. As the Association for the Contact Center Sector, the Contact Center Association of the Philippines represents some 60% of the total annual revenue and manpower count of the 1.3 million strong IT BPO industry. In March 20, we were fortunate to be designated as one of the critical industries, and we were allowed to operate and continue to provide jobs to our workforce and extend services to our global clients with the least disruption possible. No? In about 4 days in March 2020, our industry was able to deploy majority of our workforce to work from home with with extreme challenges, to name a few, including of course the not up to par internet connection, and of course the added burden of supporting of our employees doing skeletal workforce, like providing them with transportation, hotel
Yeah, the shuttle
accommodation.
buses, I understand, cost a great deal.
Exactly, opo.
And then
Oo,
all the
and then
health
the meals.
protocols pa. And then
Yes,
I
ma'am.
think you had to put up in dorms a lot of your workers.
Exactly, the hotel accommodation, and of course, all other cash and non-cash support, particularly during the first 6 months of the pandemic. No, but together with other industry associations, so CCAP has actively sought the support from government to address our concerns on flexible work arrangement. The industry has implemented in response and in support of the IATF guidelines, encouraging the practice of such flexible arrangement, including work from home. Currently, the
I've had a
ITBPO.
little bit of a confusion kasi naglalabi kayo na tanggalin na yung 30% maximum ceiling sa work from home. It appears that it's contained sa PEZA rules. Ganun ba yun?
Exactly, ma'am. That's the reality, you know. In fact, no, it is part of the PESA rule, but for as an accommodation to the industry, the PESA board actually passed resolution number 20-313, which allows work
Hanggang
from home
September na lang
arrangement
daw?
only up to September, up to 90%. And that is actually contingent. It's actually anchored on the presidential decree that extends the state of calamity up to September 12, 2021. However, also is that, you know, we found that work from home arrangement actually helped our industry, go through during the pandemic, no. And in fact, no, contract renewals with our global clients, some of them, actually a lot of them, prefers specify preference to a blended on-site and work from home setup, because also our clients also find that to be also economical on their part, because they also suffer from the impact of COVID from where they are, no. And we feel also that work from home arrangement is also a way to reduce infection among our employees during this time that we are not yet having our employees, the bulk of our employees, vaccinated. And also in comparison, efforts by other countries competing with the Philippines, like Costa Rica, Colombia, they have their own, they also easing work from home policies to be able to support their IT BPO industries in their countries. No? So I guess our short really appeal is to be able for us to enjoy that. But our concern on the availability of work from home arrangement, the viability of that has already been, our concern for that has increased with the passage of the CREATE bill, where Section 309 of the law, this allows incentives for locators to operate outside of the geographical boundaries of the PEZO zones and the free port. So while we do
Senator
understand
Pia
that,
Cayetano has already explained that that was not the intent of the transitory provisions. Kaya siguro dapat ipaliwanag. Here we are again, Senator Villar, yung mga bureaucrats, ayaw silang payagan, pero wala naman sa batas yung pagbabawal nun. Yes, Mr. J. Santisteban.
yeah, I think si Senator Villar is making a statement.
No, I think ang meaning noon, yung iyong head office nando sa PESA zone. Pero yung allow mo yung mga trabahador mo na magtrabaho out of the office is a different story. Hindi yun yung meaning nung CREATE. Di ba?
Sinabi kasi nila na may limitations sa off-site workers. Samantalang wala naman talaga yon. Miski balik-balik ta rin nila yung transcript, hindi naman lumitaw sa debate yon.
Kasi wala namang COVID do ipasa yung create. Kaya siguro hindi naman na-take up yon para interpret as such. Kasi ang COVID naman is a year ago lang, di ba? Alam ko napasok pa tayo sa Senate no ipasa ang create eh.
Okay, kaya nga eh.
Oo, wala pang COVID noon. Tayo ngayon di na napasok. Webinar na.
But even then, even at that time, wala naman pinag-uusapan na
bawal.
workers.
Oo, wala.
Well, we actually we seek the help talaga of the Senate through the
to interpret that. Okay.
Senate. Exactly, ma'am, no? Kasi in the various consultation on the IRR, it seems that this is the prevailing interpretation of the agencies, no, that the companies who are registered with PESA are not allowed to operate their employee, to operate outside of the PESA zone. So I guess that is an area where we need clarity on, is to be able to really to interpret that as intended, no, in the bill. So that is something that we will really appreciate.
Okay. Pero ang BPO worker A4, no? So pagbukas ng A4, kasali sila. Oo.
Nung umpisa, hindi pa final yung A4.
Hindi, nakalagay sa dyaryo, A4 na kayo, di ba? I read in the papers. Oh.
Naidagdag po after constant lobbying.
Exactly. Totoo po yun. Totoo po yun.
Nabasa ko sa dyaryo, A4 na kayo eh. That's good. Oh.
We're just waiting for the official for the official document.
Yeah. The existing documents, hindi kayo kasali. Yun ang problema.
Exactly. From the DOH po. That's true.
Pero nag-announce na sila. I read in the papers na A4 na ang BPO worker. Matagal lang talaga gobyernong gumawa ng papel. Oo.
That's we leave it up to the policy makers po. We're just here to support the
pag
economy.
inalaw nila A4, tutulungan na namin kayo. Kailangan kayo eh. Oo, kailangan.
Let's end on a happy note. How many employees do you think you'll be hiring?
Well, I think we are on our way to meet our projection of about somewhere between 3.6 to about 4.8.
Ano ba kayo ngayon?
Increase.
Ano ba ngayon kayo? 1.3? 1.3?
1.3 million po. 1.3 million.
And then ang inyong increase? Ang inyong projected
increase? Well, we're looking at
increase?
around modest of about 3.6. Modest increase.
So, ang 10% is 130, 70,000, mga 50,000.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yeah.
So that's good. Will that be in Metro Manila largely or in urban centers? So are you going to persist with the provincial centers?
Actually, the conversation now has somewhat shifted to about, to hiring work from home or on-site employees in the provinces.
Kaya irrelevant na.
Rather than building infrastructure like buildings, for example,
right,
or looking for those locations, so it would be better to hire them where they are, and take advantage of the telecom systems that the telcos are actually building now. No, they promise to put in a lot of money to build new infrastructure.
Ang problema talaga yung telecom, kasi yung work for home, katulad ni Amy, palaging nawawala sa
kaya nga
pag kami nagse-session, palagi siyang nawawala. Sabi ni nabagyo kasi sa Ilocos eh. Kahapon, palagi ka nawawala eh.
Nawawala ako kahapon.
So Miss Miss Chairman, actually we're looking at more hybrid models like hub and spoke, where you would have a smaller office in a province, and then most of our employees will be working from home. So those are the models that we're looking at, no.
Okay, so that's good. That's not so good for rentals. I think Lee Chu Group was here and is anticipating a lot of BPO demand. But with work from home, how much of that demand will be realized?
Kalahati
Yeah,
siguro.
Yeah.
Kalahati ba kayo
Sige.
allowed? Ano ba projection nyo? Kalahati?
We're allowed now under the latest IATF 100% on work on site. No? But of course, what's hampering that really is the fear of the companies of contracting the virus for its employees. No? So as much as possible, we would like to limit the and even if we we go back to the offices, we will still have to be compliant with the social distancing norms, no? So that would practically reduce our footprint.
Ano projection nyo? Kalahati? Kalahati?
Mga 50%, ma'am, eh. Oo, kung kahit na ano. But right now, we are about 30% work on site, no? Depending
Pero
on
alam mo, may building kami na maraming BPO, tapos lumiit yung kumakain doon sa mga restaurant. So akala nila work from home. Sabi ko, baka nagbabaon, hindi naman lahat work from home. Baka kaya...
Sabay-sabay na yun.
Oo, kasi biglang bumagsak yung mga restaurant doon sa building na wala daw nakain sa kanila. Kawawa naman.
Yeah. They are now having their lunch on their desk as part of the safety
I think
guidelines.
that's the answer, di ba? Nag-iingat din, ayaw na pumunta sa restaurant.
Okay, thanks, Jay. That's
Thank you so
valuable
much.
insight. And I'm happy to end on a note of hiring, renting, and expansion, kahit papano.
We're very happy to be helping the economy po.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for the good news.
We will always remember you. We share your concern. Tayo lahat, we share your concern.
Thanks,
Thank you so
Olive.
much.
Thanks, Eric.
Thanks, Senator
everyone.
Amy.
Maraming salamat, Gino. Send my best to Steven and the rest. Salamat po.
Thank you po. Thank you po.
Thank you very much po sa lahat sa inyo. Good day.
Pwede lang kumain.
Kumain na